It's a rainy night in Vancouver and undercover over at BC Place Stadium. A former #1 NFL draft pick gets set for his first CFL start, hoping the Lions won't rain on his parade. It's for nights like this they built the inflatable dome stadium, BC Place, here on the wet coast. Raining outside, climate controlled for football tonight as the BC Lions attempt to clinch the season series with a win over the Stampeders, a team reeling 1 week ago after losing its franchise player, quarterback Henry Burris. Tonight, they'll try to salvage their season with a backup quarterback, much the way the Lions have done all year. Good evening, I'm Mark Lee, along with the big man, Chris Walby. The Stamps losing the hottest quarterback in the CFL in Henry Burris with that shoulder separation. Achilles Smith tonight, Chris, has a hard act to follow.
Well, Mark, he's not your typical first-year CFL rookie. Now, Achilles Smith is a 4-year NFL veteran with the Cincinnati Bengals. 17 starts for the Cincinnati Bengals, but has not started a game, period, anywhere for 3 years. Now, that's the negative news. The positive news is that he has been on the sideline and has an opportunity to watch the BC Lions play in both games. Watching Henry Burris, talks to him daily. He's had the whole week of practice with Henry Burris. He understands what he's got to do. What he has to do is get it to the playmakers, make the right decision, and let them do the things after they catch the ball.
Hey, the BC Lions are living proof you can be successful, even be in first place without your #1 quarterback.
And that is just strictly patience. Jarius Jackson has done everything he's been asked to do. He started off rocky. Hard to believe last week, only 3 completions in the first half. But he is a late game savior for this offense. I mean, Paris Jackson getting the tying touchdown the last time this team's met in the overtime to tie Calgary. And last week, how about that 34-yard last-second touchdown pass to Geroy Simon to seal that victory over Saskatchewan? He's getting it done.
He's got poise. All right, it's game time. How about your game notes?
Well, let's talk about the game notes. We're going to start with the Calgary offense. And obviously, on offense, Achilles heel. Who will show up? Will he be the strength of the offense or be the weakness today? On defense, we've got to talk about K.O. Joe, and that's Joe Smith. You must keep Joe Smith out of this because Joe Smith last week was one of the reasons they beat the Saskatchewan Roughriders. For the BC Lions offense, Simon says it's about time. 2 games in a row over 100 yards receiving. Geroy Simon rounding into top form again. And on defense, Richie's riches. Team leads 17 interceptions, sack lead, and 39 forced turnovers, #1 in the CFL.
Tom Higgins says he's not pressing the panic button after losing Henry Burris, staying positive and challenging his players at midweek to rally around Achilles Smith. Wally Buono and his Lions have won 3 of the last 4 games so far this season without both their #1 and #2 quarterbacks. The Lions have been successful with Dickinson and Pierce out of the lineup and hoping tonight to strengthen their hold on first place in the West Division. It's game 3 of our CFL on CBC triple header. The Lions winning 5 straight at home coming here tonight. They won the toss and have elected to receive with this man, Ian Smart, the CFL's leading kick returner, flanked by Corey Rogers. As the CFL's leading kicker, Sandro DeAngelis, gets set to kick it off at BC Place Stadium. The Lions and Stampeders meeting for the 3rd time this season. The last time they met, it was mid-August in a 45-45 overtime thriller. It's Ian Smart with the opening kickoff from the 15. Quickly outside, has a seam, and puts his head down across the 35-yard line. A 22-yard return as Jarius Jackson makes his 6th start at quarterback, a record of 3-2 coming in here tonight.
Well, he's really played well and played well when he has to. Obviously, last game, the big touchdown pass to Geroy Simon. Joe Smith has got to be a big part of the offense, as he has been every week. The receiving crew, Geroy Simon, back-to-back, over 100 yards receiving, 185, as a matter of fact, last week. Doing a nice job of getting over.
On first down, a flag already flying. Jackson throwing with authority to Paris Jackson. And the big Canadian from North Van has a first down, but let's check the flag, Chris Walby.
Well, he threw that on a rope. And when you talk about Jarius Jackson, here's a quarterback who only 3 completions in the first half last week against Saskatchewan. He came and rounded out in form in the second half, but it'll be interesting to see what the call is right now.
Offside, Calgary, number 93, declined. First down.
Terrence Patrick is offside for the Stampeders, but Jarius Jackson getting the start, Chris. Even though Buck Pierce has been given the green light to play, he's dressed as the number 2 quarterback here tonight. But Wally Buono saying yesterday, I'm going to ride this horse as long as he keeps kicking and producing victories. It is a first down after a gain of 17 on the pass to Paris Jackson. Here's the CFL's leading rusher, Joe Smith, carving his way through that Stampeder defense. Ranked second last against the run. And another first down.
Well, I mean, it all starts with the offensive line out front, and they have got a very good one. A lot of talk about Murphy and Jimenez at 2 tackles, the bookends of brutality, as they call them. But Bates, Reed, and Valley getting the start for the suspended Sherko Razuli, who was suspended the 1 game for the helmet toss, ripping it off Scott Schultz last week.
Yeah, we have an injured Stampeder. And it looks like Brandon Browner, who returned to the lineup after missing last week's game. The young rookie cornerback is indeed prone on the field here at BC Place.
Well, and he plays that short side corner, Mark, and they really don't want to lose him. He hurt his ankle a couple weeks ago in practice. And, you know, he was wearing a cast, almost played last week. Looks like he's got a bit of that same ankle, the left ankle. You can see athletic therapist Pat Clayton working on that left ankle.
Here's how it happened. Hard to see in the tangle of humanity there, but Browner, the big 6'4", 220-pound rookie out of Oregon State, is making his way on his own steam to the Calgary sideline. They really can't afford to lose him. They've got 2 ranked rookies backing up in the secondary tonight.
Well, and he really has become a leader. We take a look at that defense. Tay George, who leads him with 7 quarterback sacks. Terrence Patrick, the other rush end, really got to get it done. And the linebacking crew, Clark and Cole, have their hands full in the middle of that defense.
Julian Battle, a rookie out of Tennessee, is on the short corner for Brandon Browner here on first down. Jackson throwing across the middle and nearly intercepted by Scott Coe. The big Canadian out of the University of Manitoba got his hands on it but couldn't bring it in. There's the secondary.
Well, you look at the secondary, they're really happy to have J.R. Ruffin back. I mean, he really is a speedster, and he missed the first 8 games of the season with a knee injury, back and really making his presence felt last year, obviously, with the special teams force as a leading kickoff return yardage in the CFL, but I don't think you'll see him too much on special teams today.
It is 2nd and 10 for Jarius Jackson and the BC Lions. Geroy Simon alone on the short side. That's where Jackson's going, and he's got it. Geroy Simon to the 20-yard line with his first catch of the football game. Coming off back-to-back games with more than 100 yards after going the first 10 games without getting to that 100-yard plateau.
Well, and Jarius Jackson sits back there, gets time to watch as he works in. He finds a hole in the zone, and he gets just behind the linebackers in front of the secondary, and that's Dwayne Carpenter who has to come up and make the play. But, I mean, if you get time like that, a receiver like Simon will find holes in that zone coverage.
24 yards the gain, and with that catch, he moves into a tie with Nick Lewis for most catches by a receiver in the West Division. The pitch out to Ian Smart in the backfield, and look at him go! Full speed ahead, and dumped near the 3. Dwayne Carpenter makes the tackle just before the goal line.
Well, it has to start with nothing but a little simple option play, and a great job of blocking by the lead block this time of Joe Smith, 33, who usually gets to carry the ball. He does a great job of pinning the inside and allowing Smart to get to the outside. He takes it down to the 2-yard line.
The all-purpose yards leader in the CFL with an 18-yard scamper. And it's 1st and goal from the 2-yard line. The big team is in for the Lions. Play action now. Pass to the end zone. Touchdown. Lyle Green, the fullback, with his first touchdown of the season on a 2-yard pass.
Well, Mark Grudegood, the rookie out of South California, in coverage, and he doesn't even see this. He's so concerned. He's got his back all the way. It's over. Done. Finito. Bake it, seal it. Nice toss. Nice read by Jarius Jackson. Great call to slide Green out to the flat. And as you say, Matt Grudegood is nowhere to be found. You got to take a look. Stay with your guy. If you get in that chase position, it's all over.
Point after from Paul McCallum is good. A 6-play drive covering 73 yards. And Lyle Green has his first touchdown of the year.
What's everybody? Kitchener, Ontario. What's up, Kitchener? How you doing, Olivia? I love you. What's up? How you doing, Canada? What's up? First touchdown of the year. Feels good. Let's take out these Stampeders today.
They're cheering in Kitchener tonight as their favorite son, Lyle Green, scores on the opening drive for BC.
Well, there's Lyle Green. It's nothing more than just flaring him out in the flat. You see 6. Grudegood gets caught up, coming up too shallow. You got to stay depth to come across. Just a simple throw and catch by Lyle Green, who gets his first touchdown of the season.
A 2-yard catch for Lyle Green on an opening drive that mesmerized that Calgary defense. 6 plays, 73 yards. Ian Smart coming in at tailback with a big scamper to help set it all up.
And Mark, no pressure on Jarius Jackson. He just sat back there and he's picking that zone apart.
Brett Anderson to kick it off. Joffrey Reynolds and John Cornish back to receive. And it will be Joffrey Reynolds starting from the 17-yard line. And the big running back is gang tackled and stopped in his tracks by Tim Goodwell, the rookie out of Memphis. A 14-yard return for the big back. Achilles Smith, all eyes on him. Big question mark tonight for the BC defense. They have only 26 pass attempts on film. He has thrown 5 interceptions, though, in the limited time he's played in the CFL.
Well, I mean, Joffrey Reynolds has got to really take some of the pressure off Achilles Smith. They've got to establish him either running the ball or running screens. The receiving crew, you know what they can do. Rambo having an outstanding year, 6 touchdowns the last 4 games.
Smith opening in a double tight formation, throwing on first down, a nice slant to Brett Ralph, and the Canadian from the wide side wideout spot has a first down for the Stampeders. A 17-yard completion on Achilles Smith's first throw.
Well, and that's what's exactly you want to do. Something short, just a little slant in the middle. Get your playmakers the ball. This time is Brett Ralph. He does a nice job of taking in and picking up a nice first down, getting some confidence. Exactly what you want to do on that opening play.
Brett Ralph, who is having his best season as a receiver in the Canadian Football League. And there is an injured BC Lion on the play. It is their veteran 35-year-old safety, Baron Miles.
Well, they can ill afford to lose Baron Miles. Not only is he the anchor of that secondary, but he just is such a great special teams demon. 2 block punts already. You see him, he just goes down, makes the tackle on Brett Ralph. And doesn't look like anything seriously there, but he just maybe jarred his neck a little bit. He's getting up right now. That's a good sign.
The young Canadian rookie out of Columbia, Tad Crawford, coming in to replace the veteran Baron Miles, who walks off. And let's just set that big hoggy offensive line for Calgary.
Well, these guys got their hands full today, and Brett McNeil playing in his 218th game at the left guard position.
Bobby Singh making his first return to BC Place since they released him here in BC, and he signed as a free agent, and he's wearing the mic tonight on the CFL on CBC. Check in with him throughout the evening. First down, handoff on the ground. Joffrey Reynolds is chipped first by Corey Banks, and then Tyrone Williams makes the tackle. With Achilles Smith, a first-round, 3rd overall NFL draft pick back in 1999 with the Cincinnati Bengals, behind Tim Couch and Donovan McNabb, gets his first CFL start. A lot of people wondering how he'll do after looking shaky in relief in the early part of this season. But I'll tell you what, his teammates have rallied around him, and Ryan Thelwell said this week, I get the feeling not too many people are giving him a chance to win. That's going to make this even better. Gain of 3 by Reynolds. Motion now by the Stamps as they waggle at receiver. 2nd and 7. It's a hitch pass, and it's complete to Kenyon Ramble, and Ramble is quickly sealed as Ryan Phillips and Tad Crawford make the tackle to force Calgary to punt.
Well, they forced him to punt, but at least the offense had a little momentum and moved the ball out from deep in their own territory, where in this game, as you well know, is a game of field position, so that allows Duncan O'Mahony a better spot to put this ball in and hopefully pin the Lions deep in their own territory.
Duncan O'Mahony replacing Burke Dales as the starting punter at midseason in Calgary with a 43-yard average. And he shanks this one end over end, bouncing at the 20. A good bounce, though, deep into BC territory inside the goal line. Ian Smart will let it roll 5 yards deep and concede a single point. A 59-yard punt for a single. BC back in offense when we come back. Welcome back to BC Place Stadium in Vancouver, the CFL on CBC. Jarius Jackson back to work after orchestrating a scoring drive on the very first offensive series for BC. And in the secondary, Brandon Browner is back in the lineup after injuring his ankle on that opening drive. First down, BC at their own 35-yard line. Jackson now. An audible in the shotgun as he changes his call at the line of scrimmage. In the flats, it's complete to Paris Jackson. He gets one block inside J.R. Ruffin, and he'll have a first down. across the 45-yard line. That's the kind of poise and composure we've begun to see from Jarius Jackson.
Well, I mean, he's seasoned. Here's Jarius Jackson, 19. What you don't see in that replay is the halfback is 15 yards back. That is a great job of walking to the line of scrimmage, reading the defense, changing the play, and putting the ball in your playmaker's hands.
Jackson, who completed just 3 of 14 attempts last week in the first half against Saskatchewan, came back 14 of 22 in the second half in that last-minute comeback. Play action now. Jackson rolling. He's got time. The big arm deep downfield. And it's complete to Josh Bowden. His first catch in the CFL. And it's a huge one. The young man out of the South Surrey Rams Junior program, who has been taken under the wing of veterans like Mark Washington, here in BC has a 49-yard catch, his first as a pro.
Well, play action pass, and they do a nice job of sealing and allowing him to get to the outside. He just throws this ball, but as you say, the rookie from Surrey, knowing that the ball is behind him, it's like a little bit of a fade. He comes back to the ball. That's a receiver, a first-year receiver, knowing where he is on the field.
Worked his way into the offense as a special teamer, and now he's put BC on the doorstep again. Joe Smith, a move inside, touchdown, BC, magnificent. Joe Smith, 15 yards through the Calgary defense for his league-leading 16th touchdown.
Well, I mean, when things are firing and everything's going right, they are just dominating that line of scrimmage right now. Joe Smith, little change of direction, takes it in, not even touched. This is not what I expected. We knew that offensively there might be some question marks about the Stampeders, but we thought the defense would at least show up. Right now, they're mailing it in.
And the Lions are having their way on offense.
What up, Reggie? You seen
Joe
that yet?
Smith, pay dirt, and the Lions. Big Joe Smith, the CFL's first 1,000-yard rusher.
Well, just basically going to be a block and a nice job of Jimenez getting outside. But look at the lead block of Lyle Green, 28. That's the one that springs Joe Smith, and that allows him to make the cutback. And once he's in the open field, it's just an easy jaunt into the end zone. That's way too easy for this offense. 2 drives, 2 scores. They got to tighten up, and they got to do it right now.
Second-year running back out of Louisiana Tech is on a pace to shatter the BC Lions rushing record, and he's running away right now, leading the league with 16 touchdowns, 15 on the ground. And the Calgary defense is doing a little remedial work on the sidelines as 2 successive BC offensive drives have ended in the Calgary end zone. Anderson with a deep kickoff. Cornish inside the 10. Straight up the hash marks and barreling his way across the 30 to about the 33-yard line. The young rookie out of Kansas. As we take you back to that second scoring drive, it began with an audible and a flat pass to Paris Jackson. A first down, then the big 49-yard bomb to Josh Bowden, his first reception in the CFL, and 15 yards. It looked easy for Joe Smith to the end zone. This Calgary defense is shell-shocked. Kelly Smith, his second series, opens with a pitch out, and Joffrey Reynolds with a nice run around the right side, and he'll be close to a first down.
Nice job of pulling the guard around, opening a hole for Joffrey Reynolds. Busting up. Picking up 8 good yards, putting him in a second and short situation.
Reynolds, the number 3 rusher in the CFL, coming into this game with a 5.9-yard average carry. One of the big backs having their way with the smaller defenses in this league. There's Baron Miles back at his spot at safety after being shaken up. A bunch formation. And the carry is to Joffrey Reynolds. And it'll be a first down as they move the sticks.
Exactly what you have to do. If you got a back like Joffrey Reynolds, as you said, who averages 5.9 yards a carry, pound him. You got to pound him at this defense. The defense is not as big. They're smaller, they're quicker. They're lining up a lot of guys in the line of scrimmage. If Joffrey Reynolds busts through one of those lanes, he's going to go for a long way.
Kelly Smith now. 3 receivers to the wide side of the field on first down at the 48. Short drop. He's got time and a man wide open. It's Brett Ralph again, and the Canadian with a straight arm on Ryan Phillips. And outside for a first down as Mark Washington pushes him out of touch. George Cortez, the offensive coordinator, who has spent this past week in film and at practice getting Achilles Smith up to speed.
Well, nice job of coming backside and picking up the blitz, and that allows him the opportunity to get rid of that ball. But as you say, Brett Ralph, great straight arm to pick up additional yards.
Gain of 13 to Ralph. Thelwell alone to the boundary. Play action. They wanted to go with the hitch. It was covered. Achilles Smith just lobs it to Kenyon Rambo. And Rambo is caught from behind by Aaron Hunt. For Achilles Smith, this has been the first week. He has been the main man getting all the reps as first string quarterback. And he says he has come into this game poised and confident.
The week of preparation has been good, and we fully expect to have some success today. And we got a lot of things that we still are trying to do offensively, and hopefully we can execute.
His teammates have been impressed with Achilles Smith's command in the huddle, and a procedure call here as Jeff Pelon, Bobby Singh backed off the line before the ball was snapped, and flags are down.
Well, it's always hard to hear the snap count, especially when you're in a domed environment, because you don't have to have a full house to create a noise level where you can't hear that snap
Procedure.
count.
Calgary, number 64, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Take a look at that BC defense, and maybe that's one of the reasons he jumped as well. Brent Johnson and Wake really playing well from the outside. The strength of Williams and Hunt inside. That's a tough defensive line.
Jarius Jackson was saying he doesn't envy Achilles Smith's first start coming against that BC defense. Second down, pressure, and a screen to Joffrey Reynolds. A tentative pass from Achilles Smith is incomplete, and a punting situation for the Stampeders.
Well, I like this call as we take a look at the linebackers. Javi Glad back in the middle linebacker spot in the second game. Otis Floyd, Pottinger, and the linebacker as well. And this is a great, tough defensive back. Lead the league with 18 interceptions. Good to see LeVar Glover back. He left last week, back in the lineup tonight.
Yeah, 18 interceptions for the Ballhawks secondary. There's Otis Floyd playing with that ab strain again here tonight. End over end punt to the 15. Ian Smart. They got a piece of him. Dwayne Carpenter, the first man downfield for the Stampeders, to limit that return to just 3 yards. You're watching the CFL on CBC. Let's talk your O-line here, Chris.
Okay.
I'd rather hear Murphy. Yeah. Yeah, let's get him first. Yeah. 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 if you're a Saskatchewan Roughrider fan, there's public enemy number one. Rob Murphy with the notorious reputation. It began earlier this year when Raheem Abdullah branded him the dirtiest player in the CFL. But Wally Buono was saying, Chris, yesterday, he relishes all the attention, and he likened Murphy to the big brother out there. He's got everybody playing 2 inches taller on an offensive line that has been aggressive and has ruled the line of scrimmage in the CFL. First down, Jackson handing off to Joe Smith. He's pushed deep, tries to reverse his field, lost his balance, and Brian Clark is in there first for a loss on the play, a loss of 6. Karan Williams also in on the tackle.
I just think it's interesting when you talk about a guy, and there's Rob Murphy right there as we run this play. I mean, they're just going to go up levels. It's called levels blocking. They get too much penetration at the front side, and that forces Joe Smith to retract and come back and try and restart and find an opening, but the Stampeder defense brings them down. But this is an offensive line that plays physical, and that's what you want out of your offensive line.
2nd and 16 on the 12. Jackson back to pass. A crossing route and a one-handed catch by Jason Claremont. Cuts back inside across the 20. Well short, though, of the first down as Claremont makes his first catch of the football game.
And a big sigh of relief from the Calgary sideline because for once they've stopped the BC Lions. The last 2 series they've had touchdowns. Nice job of the Stampeder defense there to force a punting situation. Paul McCallum's going to have to punt from just in the shadow of the goalposts.
Anthony Gargiulo giving Murphy a run for it on that last play. Marcus Howell, the lone man back for the Stampeders. And they'll get a nice tilt in field position after holding the Lions for the first time in the early going of this football game. Stamps setting up the return. A nice punt from McCallum, who's averaged 45.4. A bobble by Howell, who's had some fumble trouble this year, but he hangs on. A loss of 1 on the return. Coming into this football game, Achilles Smith had attempted only 26 passes, completed 12 of them, but he threw 5 interceptions, an average of 1 interception every 5 attempts. This week, though, he says, I'm far better prepared after a week of first-team snaps. On the ground, Joffrey Reynolds barreling his way right up the hash marks and up the gut.
And Mark, you mentioned the fact that he's better prepared. The game you just mentioned against Toronto was a short week. He came in, and I know the BC Lions were kind of having some fun with Achilles by saying, hey, you completed 9 of 10 passes that game. Unfortunately, 3 were to the opposition.
Well, you know, in the preseason, he looked terrific against Edmonton and Saskatchewan. He completed 17 of 29 for 282 yards, 3 touchdowns and no picks. But he said that short week on the road into Toronto against the toughest pass defense in the CFL, no less, he said, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready for that. And it showed as he threw those 3 interceptions. 2nd and short, on the ground again, and Joffrey Reynolds with a first down carry across the midfield stripe as he helps shoulder some of the pressure here on Achilles Smith. A reminder, FIFA Women's World Cup Soccer on CBC coming your way tomorrow with the bronze medal final at 4:45 a.m. Eastern Time. The encore at 1:30 a.m. The gold medal final is slated for 7:15 a.m. The encore at 2:30 in the afternoon Eastern, 11 p.m. You got that? First down at midfield. Smith with the pitch out to Joffrey Reynolds, and Reynolds trying to hurdle the 50-yard line into a pack of BC defenders. And Joffrey Reynolds is hitting his stride on this offensive series. 6 carries already for 40 yards.
Well, they're just going to try and pin the outside defensive end to the inside by the slot back and pull the big tackle. Garrick Jones, 66, around, and he does a nice job of leading Joffrey Reynolds through that hole.
Reynolds, one of 6 big backs in this league, leading the CFL on the ground, 218 pounds. The only one of the top 6 who isn't over 200 is Charles Roberts at 170. Again, the big back right at the line of scrimmage is hit hard, getting across for a few very close to that first down marker.
Well, the Stampeders are running a bit of a bunch formation, something that the BC Lions offense likes to utilize, and they're just going to run it on the short side. Just get some helmets on helmets there and create any kind of an opening for Joffrey Reynolds to pop it through to try and pick up that first down. See the left side right there. He goes to the bunch and comes back inside. Rob Lazio is getting that start at center. Well, that was a big trade getting him from Saskatchewan with Comiskey, the normal center, out. We talked to him early before the game, and he goes, I'm the center for the rest of the year, so I don't know what's happening with John Comiskey.
They're just short, inches short of the first down, but you're right. At first, they were saying what a deal it was for Saskatchewan to get Wes Cates, but it's been fortuitous for the Stampeders.
That's been a benefit for both teams. It's one of those trades that works out well.
Third down, inches to go, and the Stamps will go for it. Achilles Smith up behind his big center, Rob Lazio, and he'll sneak it for the first down. A lot of Calgary players this week, Chris, remarking on the work ethic of Achilles Smith. This is a guy who doesn't need to play football. Got a $10 million signing bonus back in '99 when he was a first-round pick for Cincinnati, but this week he has worked hard in the film room and throwing extra after practice. As we take another look at his sneak, spent a lot of extra time with his receivers trying to get to know them and their body language, trying to leave nothing, no stone unturned. A new set of downs for the Stampeders. First down at the BC 44. Play action. Smith pressured, throwing the ball into traffic. Incomplete. Brett Ralph, the intended receiver, but the CFL's leading ball hawk, Ryan Phillips, there to bat it down. Phillips with 9 interceptions, 1 against the Stampeders this year to lead the CFL in that department. And that is his 9th pass knockdown of the year. The gun sounds to end the opening quarter. As we go to break, it's all BC with a big lead.
I didn't know. I didn't.
Welcome back to the Pacific Coast, where the home team has command of this football game after 1 quarter of football. And let's take a look at the first quarter statistics, Chris. They will bear out the game story.
I think they will. I mean, obviously, when you look at that, 151 net yards to Stampeders, 78, and a lot of the Stampeder yards are coming just on this drive right now. But the fact is, the first 2 drives by the BC Lions were methodical. They just marched right through the Calgary defense very easily with touchdowns. You know, just run the ball with Joe Smith. Lyle Green gets an easy catch for a touchdown. Big toss to Josh Bowden with his first catch. I mean, they're really making everything look good.
Tom Higgins told us yesterday he normally doesn't travel injured players, but here's Henry Burris with his team tonight at BC Place, specifically to help mentor Achilles Smith, who is in the 7th play of this drive, trying to engineer their first offensive points of the game. Smith with time, crossing route is batted down by Aaron Hunt. It's incomplete. The Lions thought they may have had an interception as Cam Wake, the rookie, fell on it, but it's incomplete and a 3rd down.
Well, Aaron Hunt, who is the defensive player of the month for August, is just a force. And he's right here. Look at him. He's just doing this, what's called a spy technique. He's watching to see if anybody's going to leak out of the backfield. He's keeping one eye on the quarterback, and he does the next best thing to rushing the quarterback, and that is getting the hand up in the vision, the throwing lane of the quarterback, and he knocks that down and almost intercepted by Cameron Wake.
What a rookie year Cam Wake is having, leading the Lions in tackles and coming into this game sharing the sack lead with Tom Canada, who moved in front with one tonight. The angled punt goes out in the end zone. Or are they going to bring it out? They're having a look at it as O'Mahony thinks he's got BC pinned. It's a huge play. Beautiful punt. Exactly. That's why he's better than Burke Dales at that. Let's come back with O'Mahony there, Joe. We have time. Yeah, that looks like it's 4 yards deep, right? Oh yeah, there you go. That's a better angle. Indeed, Duncan O'Mahony has pinned BC at their 1 yard line with a wonderfully angled 42-yard punt.
Well, that's why he's in there and Burke Dales is not. But take a look at this, guys, as we show. There's the ball right here. Now look at that. There it is right there, and that's what the officials coming down. Great mark, and as you say, the BC Lions starting off with the worst field position early in this game.
Just to expand on that point about Burke Dales and Duncan O'Mahony, Burke Dales has done a terrific job of punting for distance, but he hasn't been as sharp in terms of directing his punts, and that's why Duncan O'Mahony, the veteran, was brought in at midseason.
Absolutely. I can kick it a mile, but if we get a chance for returners to get in the middle of the field, they can go either way.
Didn't I just say that? First down BC at the 1. Rolling in the end zone. Paris Jackson in trouble. Tries to throw it away under pressure. And it's ruled an incomplete pass, although Tate George says we got a safety.
Well, the big question will be, is there a receiver in the vicinity of where he threw that ball? We'll have to take a look at that. Good pressure by the Stampeder defensive line. He's trying to roll out to the left. Nice job of getting up. That's Gargiulo that forces him to bring the ball down 92. And it's just that fact that he left his feet. Now, as he gets off that ball, he kind of throws it. I don't see a receiver anywhere near that. Well, I'll tell you, he must be close downfield, but that should be a safety, it looks like to me.
At the very least, grounding the ball. 2nd and 10 from the 1. Screen pass to Joe Smith. He gets by Browner and really has to dig for 7 yards. But he'll be short of the first down, and so the Lions now punting inside their end zone. And
very well may give up the 2 points that they didn't get in the almost safety by Paul McCallum because of the fact he's going to be punting from the end zone. And they have that 14-1 lead. I would expect them to give up the 2.
So for the second time after consecutive touchdown drives, the Calgary defense has held BC. McCallum standing 5 yards deep in his end zone. Will he concede the 2? Standing, running the clock to 11 and conceding the 2 points. So it's academic as the Stamps get their safety. Kelly Smith heading back onto the football field as the Stamps will take possession at their 35-yard line. I mentioned the leadership and the command he has in the huddle. A lot of the receivers were saying this week that they saw that right from the preseason. He's poised, he's professional, and right now he's measured, using his running back again here on first down. Joffrey Reynolds runs into a wall. Aaron Hunt there making the tackle, a gain of just 2.
Well, they're using Ellis Godfrey. He changed his number to 79. He's usually 61. They're putting him as the lead man in the bunch formation. He's trying to get a little bit more beef in that line.
Godfrey Ellis, the third-year man out of Acadia. It is a 2nd and 8 situation. And the last 2 games, the Lions have held their opponents to 29% success on 2nd and long, and that shovel goes nowhere. Joffrey Reynolds hammered again by that big D-line of the BC Lions.
Well, Brett Johnson with the play, but I mean, it's ill-timed. If you're going to run the shovel pass, you have got to get these guys up the field. It's just too shallow right there. You got to hold on to that ball until you get the guys in the middle to come, create lanes, then pop it through. And it doesn't have to always be underhand. It can be just a little pop over.
Yeah, that play didn't develop, didn't have long enough to develop. And Ian Smart, the league's most exciting kick returner and leader, is back for this Omani punt. A deep spiral, pushing Smart back to the 25. Ian Smart going wide. Gets one block. There comes Dwayne Carpenter. Can't bring him down. Look out. Here goes Ian Smart down the sidelines. And dropped by Duncan O'Mahony and company. A 51-yard kick, a 36-yard return.
Well, Ian Smart, who has a 56-yard return already this year, the #1 punt returner in the league, shows his wheels. He gets to the outside, and you got to be fast, but you got to also be strong enough to shake off that initial tackle. He does that, gets to the outside, and puts BC in great field position.
Duncan O'Mahony getting in there, fighting off the block of Miles and creating a bit of a roadblock. Mark Kalist also in on the play. Great field position. 4 receivers wide side for Jarius Jackson. A deep drop, gets outside of Terrence Patrick, directing blocks. Now he's going to run. Jackson across the 40, diving, and tackled by Karan Williams.
Mark, that's the experience. That's what's happening right now with Jarius Jackson. Early on, when he got his first start, he might have tried to force that throw down the field. He recognizes that he's got the outside because the end caves in. That's Patrick. Now he gets to the outside. Instead of looking down, he decides, I'll tuck the ball. Don't force the situation. Nice job of running and picking up a first down.
Gain of 11 yards for the third stringer in his 3rd season and in his option year. The opportunist this season. Pressed into service with the injuries to Dave Dickinson and Buck Pierce. He has the Lions on a roll. Harris Jackson alone on the short side. Joe Smith gets the call, and that Calgary D-line stiffening. Tay George and Shannon James making the tackle for Calgary. Warrior of the game, we'd like you to log on to cbcsports.ca during the second half of tonight's game to vote for the player with heart, determination, courage, grit, all the ingredients that make a warrior. We'll let you know who wins after the game. And reminding you, Warrior of the Game is brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra, professional grade. No gain on the play. Second down. Lions. Jackson under pressure. Here comes the blitz. He escapes again. Runs straight up the middle. Diving for the first down marker, but he won't get there. Wrapped up short on a gain of 7. As the quarterback uses his legs again, but Terrence Patrick wraps him up.
Well, Terrence Patrick does a nice job to come off not only as rushing the passer, but coming back all the way, because they try to bring the blitz and they don't get to him. You can't quit on the blitz. If you're going to run the blitz to the outside, you've got to force him back inside. This time he just creates an opening, takes off for it. And as you say, Terrence Patrick, good hustle to bring him down before the first down.
Paul McCallum, the CFL's leading scorer with 119 points coming into this game tonight, will attempt this field goal from the 38-yard line. It's up and good. McCallum has not missed a field goal in 5 games. 12 for 12 with that one.
Famous tonight, baby. Tell me about it.
Calgary Stampeders without their franchise quarterback Henry Burris, out with that separated left shoulder. At work here tonight with the backup Achilles Smith, buoyed by the supporting cast he has. Chris Walby, there's the veteran Jermaine Copeland, number 2 in the receiving department for the Stampeders, and this man Nick Lewis, Calgary's top receiver and the number 1 receiver in the West Division so far this year. On the ground, though, it's Joffrey Reynolds finding a hole in that BC defense, and he's quickly upfield for a first down and a 13-yard carry.
Well, it's just a variation of a simple trap play, as you see. Godfrey Ellis, 79, who's going to come in. I talked about the fact earlier he's coming in as a tight end, and all he's going to do at this time is kick back. Here he is. Now watch. This is a trap block. Nothing fancy. Come inside, kick out the tackle, create this lane for Joffrey Reynolds. Nice job.
Reynolds already 9 carries, 58 yards in this first half. A fumble. Smith's got it, trying to make something of the broken play, and he'll scramble up the middle for a gain of 3, maybe 4, picking up the drop snap. It was a good snap, though, Chris.
Well, again, something that could have been disastrous. He at least turned it into something positive. A lot of times that's looking down the field instead of looking the ball into your hands. He's reading the defense, and he's not securing the football first. Little things that make you successful.
2nd and 7. Achilles Smith in the shotgun. Here comes the blitz. The ball's away, incomplete. Jermaine Copeland going up for the catch in first down territory. Baron Miles, the safety, with the tackle, but Copeland's got his first catch, coming to the aid of that backup quarterback.
Well, nice job on Copeland. See, he goes right past Javi Glatt. Now they're sitting in a zone. He finds the opening. Little curl route. Ball is delivered right there, and they move the chains. You've got to give your quarterback time to throw that football for that play to be successful. They gave on that play.
He gave the Stamps a bit of a scare this week when he left practice at midweek with a back injury. Looked good there. And a catch for 14. On the ground, Joffrey Reynolds trying to cut back. can't get past Cam Wake, though, as he throws up a dragnet at the line of scrimmage.
I'd really like to see Achilles Smith use a little bit of the bootleg, naked bootleg off of play action right now, because what I'm seeing so far is everybody is pinching down. That's Cameron Wake 91 coming down, Brent Johnson on the other side. They're pinching from the end spot. Even if it's not successful, you've got to create the fact that you may take off to the outside. It opens up the lane and you'll be more successful running the ball inside.
Gain of just 1 on the play. 2nd and 9. Here comes the blitz again. Smith is caught and sacked by Corey Banks. His 3rd sack of the season.
Now Corey Banks coming from the blind side, the back side. And as a result, he's looking, he doesn't see it come from his left. The receiver and the quarterback have to see that. You see it, you make a sting call. That means a safety, or you got a halfback coming on a blitz. Your receiver on that side has got to adjust his pattern, slant into the void. The quarterback has to recognize that and get rid of the ball quickly. If he hangs onto the football, he's dead meat.
There's the 5th punt of the game for O'Malley. There's Ian Smart. Pulled one back 36 the last time. A deep angle off the mark, bouncing in the end zone. And Ian Smart will let it roll out of touch for a punt single. The 2nd of the game for O'Malley. This one 61 yards. So they got 2 singles and a safety touch.
A backup quarterback.
Offensive
Barrett
team
Neely,
goes down. The guys that are behind them that we have.
Might just be Thelwell. The fumble and then the run. Is that where he got hurt? The hit where on the throw? Oh, on the fumble, yeah. Sack, on the sack. The hit on the sack. Yeah. Yeah, he's hurt. He's done. He's got a groin. It's a groin. Well, we're going to see him. Henry Burris with encouragement for Achilles Smith, who is in some difficulty on the Stampeder bench.
And you're going to see the blitz, and here it comes from the backside, and he goes down hard. Corey Banks, 24, taking him down the ground, and we saw him after tape, and that looks to me like a groin injury.
Barrett Neely, the backup quarterback. Last week he was number 3 on the depth chart in Calgary. He's warming up right now. Jackson, play action. Lots of time as he rolls to the wide side, and a bullet nearly picked off on the deflection as Harris Jackson couldn't bring it in, and Krantz Clemens was very close to getting his hands on it. Well, on the Calgary sideline, Barrett Neely warming up with a sense of urgency, Chris Walby.
Well, yeah, we see Barrett Neely, and what a year it has been for the quarterbacks. It's just been unbelievable. They're going down weekly. Another situation where I think that Jarius Jackson, as he got to the outside, could have pulled that ball instead of forcing that pass.
2nd and 10 for Jackson and the Lions in this ill-fated year of the first-string quarterback in the CFL. A flag is down. Corey Rogers with a straight arm, and he won't get away from Cornelius Anthony out on the corner, and the gain will be very short. Flags down, though, as the referee Ken Lazarick sorts it out. It's coming against the Lions.
And BC will have to punt, as the Stampeders will decline that penalty and force a punting situation.
Good job, man. Now we're playing.
Offside, BC number 18, decline. 3rd down.
Corey Rogers, the wide receiver, lined up offside.
That is the third 2-and-out offensive series for the Lions, who've suddenly gone cold offensively after scoring touchdowns in their first 2 drives of the football game. So the Calgary defense has upped its game. McCallum with a high punt, good hang time. And Howell has it and quickly steps out of bounds near the BC bench for a return of 6. And on the Calgary bench, Achille Smith getting taped by Pat Clayton. And so into the game comes a ranked rookie, Barrick Neely, out of Texas State. Has not thrown a pass this year in the CFL.
And interesting, though, that Barrick Neely is one of these guys, almost like university and college, who walks around everywhere with his playbook.
Yeah. A good athlete, but hasn't had much practice, and he'll go the conservative route, handing off to Joffrey Reynolds, and the Lions were waiting for that as they slammed the door.
And here's the worst situation, Mark. The fact that Achille Smith took over for Henry Burris meant that Achille Smith took every rep in practice. So Barrick Neely has not even lined up with this first string offense. So he's like a stranger back there. He's got no rapport with the receivers. The timing, this could get ugly.
What carnage in the league, though. Ricky Ray going down with a separated shoulder on his throwing arm last week. Henry Burris with a dislocated shoulder. Achille Smith can't even get out of the first half, and he's out. 2nd and 9 for the rookie against the ferocious Lions defense. Play action, rolling wide side. Crawford in pursuit. Barrick Neely fumbles the football out of bounds. The Lions say they batted it out. Wally Buono is gesturing as Lions ball. It is BC ball.
And Mark, this is exactly what happens when you get a raw rookie in there with no experience at all, is they get flustered so quickly, and the first thing they do is they bring the ball down and try and run with it. And as he tries to do that, he doesn't secure the football. He's got it out there like he's attempting to throw it, but he's already over the line of scrimmage, and as he tries, he loses the ball. Another turnover, and BC again with wonderful field position.
So the Lions, who lead the CFL in the giveaway takeaway category, take one away there in the game's first turnover and have the football, first down at the 45. Play action now. Jarius Jackson loading up, throwing downfield, a comeback route, and it's complete to Paris Jackson. Coming back to the ball. A nice fade and a throw behind.
Well, we saw this earlier with Josh Bowden on the right side. This time they come right down, and as you say, Paris Jackson runs the defender, Brandon Browner off, and comes back to the football.
In 3 of Jarius Jackson's 5 starts, he's made Paris his #1 receiver, and he hits him there for 27 yards into the Calgary red zone. I formation, motion to the wide side. 3 receivers that way. They hand off to the boundary. Joe Smith head down, running hard. And Shannon James, the corner linebacker, is the first man to butt heads and make contact. Gain of 4.
And Mark, it'll be really interesting because last week against Saskatchewan, 4 times this offense was in the red zone, 4 times coming away with touchdowns.
Yes, they take advantage of their scoring opportunities. But this is the best start we've seen this year for Jarius Jackson, who has been the comeback king in relief for BC. 2nd and 6 from the Calgary 15. Jackson, staggered count. Here comes the Calgary blitz. The ball is away. A deep corner for Simon. Incomplete. Double coverage there. And G. Simon, who has been prolific the last 2 weeks, the offensive player of the week for BC this past week, couldn't get close to the ball.
And it's interesting because you said the first 3 weeks, Paris Jackson was Jarius Jackson's go-to guy. The last 2 weeks, it's been all G. Simon, and boy, has he responded. Last week, 185 yards. As you say, the offensive player of the week. He tries to get there, but you know what? Calgary Snow, they recognize what happened last week against Saskatchewan. They double covered G. Simon.
Paul McCallum didn't attempt a field goal last week. 12 for 12 though in 5 games. Hitting this one from the 23, and it's routine. The CFL's leading scorer adds 3 more to his lead.
Mic'd Up, brought to you by Rogers, Canada's most reliable wireless network.
Here we go!
Kelly Smith had such high hopes for his first CFL start, but he's hurt. With more on that, here's Karen Larson.
Thank you, Mark. Akili Smith still has hopes that he'll be back in the game. He's sitting on the Stampeders bench with an ice bag on his upper right thigh. He says it's a slight groin pull. He's going to go into the dressing room at halftime, try and get some treatment that'll get him right to play in the second half. Mark?
Thank you, Karen, but groin pulls are the death knell.
When's the last time you heard of a slight groin pull?
Barrick Neely, his second series, floating the ball, tipped over the head of Mark Washington, and this ravenous ball hawk defense is licking its lips right now.
Yeah, it's just a scenario. Just put a little pressure on there, drop back, and see if you can read the defense. There's Knowlton, Markeith, 42, coming on the blitz. Ball's delivered. It's right there. Goes through the intended receiver's hands. Lewis.
There's Ben Sankey, the number 3 quarterback, former Stampeder of 4 or 5 years ago, plucked off the BC practice roster this week after Henry Burris got injured, but all he knows is the snap count for the Stampeders. Here comes the BC blitz. Neely flushed and upfield, nowhere near the first down on that 2nd and 10 situation, and so the Stamps are going to have to punt again. On the line of scrimmage of the Calgary O-line tonight, former Lion Bobby Singh is mic'd up.
Mic'd Up, brought to you by Rogers, Canada's most reliable wireless network.
Here we go! It's Feedly time! We got boss on 3. 1, 2, 3! Boss! Got each other's back, boys! You gonna make me famous tonight, baby.
Bobby Singh facing some of his old teammates here tonight. We'll check in with him from time to time. Ian Smart can't get started. Good punt cover by the Stampeders. 1st and 10 for Jarius Jackson and the Lions. Jackson, who Wally Buono was saying yesterday, is getting better with every rep. Every game he plays, he's gaining more confidence. He's making the right reads, and that's why he's continuing to lead Buono's football team. He's making the right reads. He's not freelancing.
Well, and that's the biggest thing. Obviously, in the first 3 games, he threw 5 interceptions. In the last couple, he's only thrown 1, but he's made good decisions with the ball. And as you say, he gets stronger, more confident. Struggled early last week in the first half and responded with a great second half. And he's having a great game so far now.
Jackson to pass. Finds Joe Smith in the flats, and Smith will have a BC first down. A gain of 11 yards on the play.
Well, take a look at Cornelius Anthony over there, the linebacker covering G. Roy Simon. He's all over him. And you got to hustle. because they're just going to do this little toss pass, little flip pass to Joe Smith, and he's a hard man to bring down.
11 yards through the air on the ground against the Stampeder defense, averaging 103 yards in 2 previous games. First down, less than 2 minutes to go until the half. Paris Jackson, or rather Jarius Jackson, loading across the middle to Jason Claremont, and Claremont will have another first down with a gain of 13.
Yeah, Jason Claremont does such a nice job, and this is the man in coverage. That's Cornelius Anthony. Just going to sit back in his zone. Now he comes up trying to make that play, but he ducks his head. The Cardinals sin of making a tackle. Always keep your head up and look the numbers. He drops his head, and Claremont makes him pay for it.
Claremont, the last time these two teams met, had one of his best games, 84 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. Jackson throwing with authority, and another hook route is complete to G. Roy Simon. And another first down, and this BC offense is back on stride. A reminder, Thursday Hockey Night in Canada coming your way at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific time. It's the Leafs and the Senators, then game 2 of the doubleheader featuring Philadelphia at Calgary. The season opening today in London with a 4-1 LA win over the Stanley Cup champion Anaheim Ducks. There goes Joe Smith. Oh, a big collision in the secondary. He is hog-tied to the turf, but they'll move the sticks again. Trey Young, one of the toughest hitters in the secondary, meeting his match in Joe Smith on that collision.
Well, a couple of 33s, but watch this. You know, we talk about Rob Murphy, but look at Jason Jimenez as he just blows Brian Clark past the hole and allows Joe Smith to get upfield and lower his shoulder on Trey Young.
15 yards the pickup as Scott Coe comes running into the backfield. Flags are down.
And Mark, that's one of the things we've talked a lot about, this offensive line of the BC Lions. The fact that Rob Murphy was the outstanding offensive lineman last year, a good chance again of repeating. But how about Jason Jimenez? I mean, this is a guy who would be a all-star on any other team. Doesn't get a whole lot of notoriety, but boy, does he do a nice job at that opposite side tackle.
Yes, you called them the bookends of brutality last week. You were a little flattered when you met them in the hotel after the game in Saskatchewan. But you're right, these two big men are really dictating the terms of offense in this league.
Oh, you mean when I met him at church?
Number 56,
not the hotel.
5-yard penalty, still first down.
So a procedure call against the Lions. Move it back 5, 1st and 15, with 1 minute to go until halftime. Jackson in the shotgun, trying to set up the screen. Now they get it away to Joe Smith, and Cornelius Anthony sniffed that out. Got some help on the play from Brandon Browner, and a gain of just 3 by Joe Smith. Second down.
Now this is an offensive line that's just having a lot of fun. Take again, you see Joe Smith just washing Terrence Patrick to the inside, and boy, what a block by Kelly Bates, 59, catching someone, not looking. Those are the ones you really love to watch tomorrow on game film.
2nd and 11 for the Lions. The ball at the 20-yard line of the Stampeders. 6 receiver set. Here comes the Calgary blitz. Jarius Jackson with a quarterback draw called from the get-go, and he won't get to the first down marker. Stopped shy of the 11-yard line. 28 seconds until halftime. Elliott and the panel, David Benefield, Sean Millington, and Rob Crefo standing by to analyze the first half. We'll have back in the day on game 3 of this CFL on CBC triple header.
It looks like Terrence Patrick shaking up on the play, and he's their rush end. They've dressed 6 defensive linemen for this game. They have a 3-4 defense, which means they have 3 defensive linemen at any one time and 4 linebackers playing behind him, and he just gets caught in a pile underneath. It is 93.
Patrick, the third-year man out of Mercyhurst, is backed up tonight by Anthony Gargiulo. You know, last week when we were talking to Rob Murphy and Jason Jimenez, I got to bring this up, but they were reveling after the brawl in Saskatchewan and enjoying their notoriety. And we talked a bit about meeting Calgary this week, and they said that Gargiulo was a high school guy. He said he wears his pants too high and his shoelaces are too long, but they were really sort of relishing a chance to get at Gargiulo this week, and they might get a chance as we see Achilles Smith back on his feet and warming up with what has been termed a slight groin pull.
And this is interesting. If you have a slight groin pull, Mark, and I'm not making light of the situation, I mean, are you risking it? I guess because of the fact that Barrick Neely's in there and he has no idea what to do on the offense, they're going to risk further injury to Achilles Smith by playing him. I mean, that's just a tough call right here. I think he's just warming up with Barrick Neely. I don't think he'll be back in. I think that's a huge risk.
6 games to go in the season. The Stampeders currently 3 points behind Saskatchewan after their win today over Montreal. And a sense of urgency in Calgary. Henry Burris saying he's at least 3 to 4 weeks away from returning to the lineup, if that, with a separated shoulder. Paul McCallum to attempt a 19-yard field goal, 2 for 2 tonight. And a timeout called by Paris Jackson.
I'm looking on the field
Jarius Jackson,
and seeing, Mark, if they have enough players on the field, but I think they were looking at something, and there's an opportunity to perhaps run a fake. They've got a great lead right now at 20-4. Maybe there was something there they were going to call. Take their time out right now with 8 seconds left and confer with
Please
special teams
set
coaches.
the clock to read 10 seconds. Reset the clock to read 10 seconds.
well, it's a heads-up move because you don't need that timeout after this if they did see something. And Guano's special teams work hard week to week. Last week, of course, they had the block punt by Baron Miles against Saskatchewan and the 88-yard kick return by Ian Smart. Mike Benavides always has something up his sleeve.
Well, that 88-yard return by Ian Smart was just, it really hurt Saskatchewan, especially after they just had scored and he gave BC instant field position and they took it down and put some points on the board. So, boy, it really took the wind out of Saskatchewan's sails.
Jarius Jackson to hold, and Paul McCallum missing for the first time in 13 consecutive attempts, missing from the 19-yard line. I believe that was the distance he missed for Saskatchewan on this very field in the 2005 West Final.
Well, we mentioned Saskatchewan, so maybe we put the curse on him a little bit right there, but that's probably the only, as you see him skim off the left upright, that's probably the only thing that hasn't gone right for the BC Lions, because they have really controlled the first half.
McCallum pondering what looked like a sure thing, missing from 19 after kicking 12 consecutive field goals coming into this football game here tonight. So Barrick Neely, who has been thrust into this football game with the groin injury to Achilles Smith, starting for the first time because of the injury to Henry Burris, will get out of this half, Chris, and head to the locker room and to the drawing board. Looks like a helmet problem, an equipment situation for Copeland, who borrows Achilles Smith's helmet. And I thought I heard him say he had a chin strap malfunction.
And he also came back. He said, "You won't be using this anymore, so I might as well have the helmet." Well, I wonder what's going through the minds of some of the receivers, Copeland, Lewis, Rambo, because they were really gung-ho about Achilles Smith playing. They just felt that he had the offense down. If he got the ball to the playmakers, things would happen. And now, with Achilles out of the game and newcomer Barrick Neely in, boy, he's really going to test their mental fortitude.
I almost wonder whether Copeland had Achilles Smith's helmet. Six seconds on the clock. Everybody's got the right helmets. Fans already headed to the concessions. Derek Neely in the shotgun. Handing off Joffrey Reynolds. Off tackle to the 45-yard line with 1 second on the clock. Close to a first down.
Mark, there's a real battle going on. We'll have to watch that. I mean, something that's really happening in the trenches. Bobby Singh, as you say, first return to BC, and he's going against Aaron Hunt, and what a battle they got going there. Singh took him about 5 yards back. A little pushing and shoving after the play. We have to watch that again. 52 against 90.
Well, Bobby Singh was agitated this week coming here, thinking about coming back to the team that let him go, even though he said he played 2 years injured for them and was willing to play for less money this year. Deep drop, last play. Neely with a big arm throwing downfield for Nick Lewis. And there's contact there for sure as Barron Miles and Lewis go to the turf, and Nick Lewis pleading his case as the gun sounds to end the opening half on what looked like a possible pass interference.
Well, that's exactly what they want to do, Marcus. Go deep and try and draw a flag for one extra play. It looked to me like there was definite pass interference. Double coverage, contact with the receiver. There's Nick Lewis, and look at that. I mean, Corey Banks backs in, smacks him with the hand. That's one they got away with.
Down to the sidelines, here's Karen with Wally Wano.
Thank you, Mark. Wally, Chris Walby pointing out that missed field goal about the only thing that hasn't gone your team's way. So far, a very dominating performance by both your offense and defense.
Well, the guys are solid right now, and obviously Calgary's missing Henry Burris. He's such a great player and a big part of what they're doing. But our guys are executing very well and playing hard.
I have to ask you about the big reception by a player who's been a little bit of a project of yours, Josh Bowden, who used to play with your son on the South Surrey Rams junior team. How happy were you for Josh that he caught that ball?
Well, we're happy for Josh, but you know what? He's turning into a fine young man too, and obviously a play like that is going to give him a lot of confidence.
Thank you, Wally.
Thank you.
Mark?
Thanks, Karen. Wally Wano's BC Lions, the #1 team in the CFL, schooling the Stampeders without Henry Burris in the first half.
Wally.
Huh?
That's great.
Yeah. Yes.
What's that?
You cheering for Wally too?
Test.
I'm
One,
cheering
two,
for
three,
whichever
one.
team I pick for. There you go.
This one's a little closer than the last one. Maybe not.
40-7.
Well, at least I'm on the right side of the score this time.
40-7. I'm about to go 2-0, baby.
That should only be a half loss in the first round.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
They should have won if they weren't such scrubs.
The difference in the backup quarterbacks here is pretty obvious to see as BC is in control at the half. Jarius Jackson, 5 games in now, looks so calm, while both of Calgary's backups look nervous with their team trailing. Just want to show you something. This is by Angus Reid, the guy in the middle here. He's the Lions center. This is basically what he's done. It's a little artist rendition of the offensive line he's put together. It will be colored in next week. They'll be selling them on T-shirts in the memory of Kevin Chin, who was a longtime high school football coach here who passed away last year, and they'll be selling those shirts with the proceeds going to a scholarship in his name. Guys, Sean, Rob, David, just a quick note on Barrick Neely. Tom Higgins says he's Casey Printer's light. He went to the Vikings as a wide receiver, was cut, came up to Canada. What do you think about him so far, Sean?
Well, I think he's going to definitely need to be Casey Printer's like as far as running around and using his legs, because right now I don't think he has enough experience to use his arm and be able to look downfield and read the defenses. I think the challenge that he's going to face right now is just trying to get comfortable. He hasn't had the reps, and that's going to represent a big issue for the Calgary Stampeders.
You know what? They've been so one-dimensional in the first half, whether it's been Achilles Smith or Barrick Neely. Actually, Barrick Neely was the first guy to throw a deep ball out there, so they need to mix it up just a little bit more. It's going to be tough because he hasn't got the reps, but he's going to have to step up and make some plays.
Anytime a quarterback gets in a game, he's got to feel protected. They've done a pretty good job in protecting these guys, but like Tom Higgins said, he's got his own package that he's going to run, so we'll see what it is.
All right, also Achilles Smith, and we'll get an update on him in a couple minutes with Karen and Tom Higgins. But what was your estimation of him after the weatherman's report you said called for turnovers and whatever interceptions?
Achilles, he was throwing great balls. I mean, he was throwing he's got a nice arm and everything, and I think it was just a matter of time for him to get comfortable. I was waiting to see a little bit more misdirection and getting him out of the pocket a little bit just to get that defense moving around, but he's done a great job.
And I just didn't think the Stampeders gave him enough opportunity to air it out. I felt they were depending on the run with Mr. Joffrey Reynolds a little bit too much. You have to throw the ball downfield sometimes in order to loosen the defense off of you.
Well, remember, he's only had 1 week with the starting offense. You know, that's not a lot of time, folks.
No. All right, now we go back to Jarius Jackson, and Mark talked about it. Karen Larson brought up the point in our meeting yesterday about how Wally is riding this guy. I think maybe he's learned from 2004 with Printers and Dickinson that this is now Jackson's team to lose.
The biggest difference here, he's getting more and more comfortable, more and more confident each time out. Remember, he's been in this system for 3 years. This is his 5th start, and we're seeing his composure.
Well, Gio Simon related a story to me about Jarius Jackson, about his composure. He comes into the huddle, everybody's jawing, everybody's talking, and he yells, listen to me right now. Everybody shuts up, he delivers the play, and that's an example of his leadership within the huddle.
Last point quick, David.
Hey, when he can slow it down, when he sees everything, everything's breaking down around him, he slows it down and makes the big plays. That's the sign that he's going to be here for a long time.
All right, he looks terrific again today, completely in control. 13 of 17, 191 yards, a touchdown, 25 rushing yards as well. Karen Larson, Tom Higgins updating Achilles Smith to come.
Back in the day. Back in the day, a shift in time. Brought to you by Nissan, trucks and SUVs.
You could call Game 3 of the 64 West Final the Joe Cap Air Show because the BC quarterback lit up the Stampeders for 308 yards passing. Here he hits Mark Burton. This was the third of his 4 touchdowns on the day. Calgary's offense had a hard time scoring but did manage to get a touchdown off this nice run by quarterback Jerry Keeling. By the third quarter, though, the Stamps were frustrated by the Lions' offense. The game was put out of reach by this touchdown pass from Cap to Pat Claridge. Great scramble before he throws it. The final score, 33-14, giving BC its second trip to the Grey Cup in 2 years. They'd win their first ever title that season. All right, here in Vancouver, where the weather suddenly looks a little better than it did earlier this afternoon. It was almost monsoon-like here. CBCSports.ca. Don't forget our post-game report. Sean, Rob, and David joining me here to wrap up the day's events. And looking ahead to next week, Joe Smith with maybe the easiest 15-yard touchdown run of his career.
Six, 7, 8. Okay. Tom, Achilles Smith self-diagnosed himself with a slight groin pull, said he might be able to come back in the second half. What's the update?
Right now, it's not likely. So Barrick Neely looks like he's going to be our guy to go with, and he's athletic, but we'll see what we can do.
How does your offense rally around a guy like Barrick Neely to help him along?
Well, you know what? We got to ask the receivers to make plays for us, and Joffrey has to continue running, and we got to get some first downs. If we can get ourselves a touchdown, we can get ourselves back into the game.
All right, Tom, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mark? Tom, Achilles Smith self-diagnosed
So wide shot, throw back down. Beautiful look at Vancouver on this Saturday night. The Lions with a 21-4 lead over the Stampeders, who are down to their untried third-string quarterback with the first half injury to Achilles Smith. For more on him, here's Karen with the Stampeders head coach.
Tom, Achilles Smith self-diagnosed himself with a slight groin pull, said he might be able to come back in the second half. What's the update?
Right now, it's not likely. So Barrick Neely looks like he's going to be our guy to go with, and he's athletic, but we'll see what we can do.
How does your offense rally around a guy like Barrick Neely to help him along?
Well, you know what? We got to ask the receivers to make plays for us, and Joffrey has to continue running, and we got to get some first downs. If we can get ourselves a touchdown, we can get ourselves back into the game.
All right, Tom, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mark?
Thanks, Karen. A week ago, the Calgary Stampeders are the hottest team in the Canadian Football League with the hottest quarterback in Henry Burris. 7 days later, Burris is out, Achilles Smith is out, and there's a sense of desperation in the Stampeder camp at halftime.
Well, and I think the biggest thing is, first off, they have not run. Barrick Neely has not run with the first-string offense, so the receivers are really going to have to help them by telling them what route they are going to run. It's almost going to be like sandlot football, drawing up the plays in the huddle.
Today, 3 third-stringers at the controls. Jarius Jackson for BC, now Barrick Neely. Earlier tonight, Richie Williams in Hamilton. I mean, what's this league coming to?
Well, I mean, obviously, the quarterbacks are getting hit. It's just a freak of nature thing happening. But, I mean, that's opportunity for the new guys, and we'll see what Barrick Neely can do.
Barrick Neely, the untested ranked rookie out of Texas State. He was their all-time leading passer, but the 24-year-old clearly unprepared for what he's to face here tonight against this ravenous BC Lion defense.
Well, I mean, look at the net yards, 264. This is the first half of football. And the thing you got to be really happy about if you're a BC Lion fan is Jarius Jackson only had 3 completions first half last week, 13 to 17 for 189 yards.
Best start.
And the offense for Calgary is all from Joffrey Reynolds. 12 carries for 70 yards, and Sean Millington hit it right. You can't live totally with Joffrey Reynolds.
The kickoff from Brett Anderson goes out of bounds, and so the Stamps will have terrific field position at their own 45 to start this second half of football. Barrick Neely 0 for 2 passing in that short stint, coming in for Achilles Smith near the end of the first half. A young man who was named the 2005 Southland Conference Player of the Year, passing for nearly 3,000 yards, 21 touchdowns at Texas State. Had offers to play at Houston and Indiana. As Elliott mentioned during the halftime show, had an NFL tryout with the Minnesota Vikings, but not as a quarterback. They liked him as a receiver. And here he is now with, I mean, can you imagine what's going through his head? They likely gave him a crash course at halftime, but this kid didn't get any reps this week with Achilles Smith trying to get up to speed, and now he is thrust into the limelight.
He was introduced to George Cortez one-on-one at halftime.
My name is George Cortez. I'll be your offensive coordinator. Neely handing off. Joffrey Reynolds trying to carry this team on the ground. And Javi Glatt, the middle linebacker, making the tackle, limiting the gain to just 2 yards by Joffrey Reynolds. Had 12 carries for 70 yards in the first half.
Well, again, a simple thing. He's just going to cut it back. He sees a little hole right there, and filled well by Cameron Wake, 91. That wide side defensive end who's having one heck of a year, leads the CFL with 11 quarterback sacks, leads a team in 48 tackles.
Javi Glatt in his second game back after missing 4 with an ankle injury. He got hurt in that August 17th game at Calgary, the overtime tilt. To the wide side, ball hanging up for Brett Ralph, and it's incomplete as Mark Washington and Ryan Phillips were looming.
Well, and they're baiting him. The defense is sitting back and allowing the receiver to sit in the flat, saying, Barrick Neely, look, you got a wide open receiver, toss the ball long across the field. He just hangs that up. Brett Ralph, got to give him a lot of courage to try and go up knowing you're going to get hit. This is a long throw to the wide side. He goes up, and you got 2 guys converging on him right there. He can't come up with the catch, and goes down hard.
2 weeks ago on almost that very spot, Washington stripped Andre Talbot. The ball bouncing into the hands of Ryan Phillips in that Argo game. A 40-7 victory over Toronto by the Lions. Duncan O'Mahony can't get it out of bounds. It's Ian Smart at his 19. Good cover by the Stampeders. Trey Young loses his helmet and is in some pain as he's downfield on punt cover. One of the hardest hitters in the CFL will shake it off.
Yeah, Trey Young, he loves to be in the action. Starting safety, likes to mix it up, but as you see, he goes down. Helmet comes off, and as the ball carrier rolls over him, he rolls over his bare head.
That's got us Smart. Jarius Jackson, after his best first half this season, goes to work using the option, pitching it to Ian Smart at tailback, and he is ushered out of bounds by Cornelius Anthony and into the signboards here for a short gain of about 3.
You know, Jarius Jackson has really done a nice job of mixing up the offense with the run and the pass. And take a look at the passing chart. Really doing a nice job. And you know what? In the beginning of the year, it would be all over here. But right now, he's doing a nice job of going deep and finding receivers. Josh Bowden, Paris Jackson, mixing it up, stretching that Calgary defense.
Well, at the rate that Jarius Jackson is going, and if he keeps winning, he will be the quarterback of record, according to Wally Buono, with Buck Pierce ready to come back and on the sidelines here tonight. Jackson again to Josh Bowden, and the young Canadian, look how tough he is, has his second CFL catch and some yards after the catch. Chris, this is the young man who played midget football with Wally Buono's son, Michael. He's been a young man who hasn't had a father figure in his life, has been in and out of trouble, and Wally Buono brought him to training camp 3 years ago with the Lions, as we take another look at his catch, and has really helped mentor him. Mark Washington's been working with him, trying to get him back on track off the field of play, and he has worked his way into the receiving lineup as a tough grinder on special teams. Jarius Jackson throwing again, wide side, it's complete. This time Paris Jackson signals the first down for the officials.
And you see how Jarius Jackson is seeing the football field, utilizing all his receivers. He's sitting back there. His reads are so much quicker than when he first took over the helm for the BC Lions. And right now he's sitting back there, right away recognizes Paris Jackson open on the flat and gets him the ball.
Jackson, another red letter night for him. 4 through the air for 73. First down. On the ground, Joe Smith at full speed, cutting back to the wide side, protecting the football. And another BC first down.
And Mark, one of the things that people have to understand is when you are throwing the ball as effectively as Jarius Jackson is, the defensive linemen start to stand up because they're so used to pass rushing. And then when you hit them with a quick hitter with Joe Smith, they're up too high to make the play, and Joe Smith runs through the tackles. Great call playing
by that man, Steph Kruk, the co-offensive coordinator. Buck Pierce at his side. And look at this, Joe Smith having a terrific night. Play action. Jarius Jackson to Josh Bowden, coming back at the wide side. And the youngster out of the South Surrey Rams has his 3rd catch of the football game. And what an interesting story he is as he continues to make a name for himself and a career in the Canadian Football League.
Well, an interesting thing is we see Dean Valley there at right guard. He is playing today in place of the suspended Sherko Haji-Razuli, who got suspended for ripping off the helmet of Scott Schultz in last week's encounter with Saskatchewan. And that's the first change this offensive line has had all season.
2nd and 2. Double tight end formation, and Joe Smith smashing his way upfield. And it will be another BC first down. Yeah, that's amazing consistency and continuity on that offensive line, that this is the first game in which there's been a change because of the 1-game suspension to Haji-Razuli.
Well, you talk about, and they like this kid. They feel like he's got great feet and a great future. Graduate of SFU, a Vancouver University, and doing a nice job of getting and making the most of his opportunity.
Scott Coe is the injured Calgary Stampeder as they bring the sticks out for a measurement. And the Lions have opened this second half with the same kind of jump they had to start the football game. And there they are, just shy of the first down.
Mark, they're punishing them. Let's not kid around here. They are punishing the Stampeder defense. We saw already Terrence Patrick go down. We see Scott Coe go down. I mean, not through lack of effort. It's just the fact that BC's offensive line is controlling the line of scrimmage.
Yes, it's a nasty offensive line. And we'll take a break as they attend to Scott Coe. Scott Coe battening down the hatches. Looks like he's ready to come back. While we were away, Paris Jackson with a first down on a quarterback sneak, and the Lions threatening again here. Jackson a crossing route, wide open is Jason Claremont, and he will trot into the end zone. Touchdown, BC. Jason Claremont, his 5th receiving touchdown of the season.
Well, that's a second in 2 weeks. And 3rd of the year against the Calgary Stampeders. He really does a nice job of just hooking across the middle. He gets away from the coverage. That's supposed to be a linebacker. Brian Clark looks back and discussed a breakdown in the coverage. Wide open. And again, just like they started the game, an easy march down the field.
12-yard pass and run to Jason Claremont. The point after is good. And the Lions are running away tonight.
I told you before I went out. We knew that we were 0. On the hot read. Hey, Jay.
Jason Claremont had 2 touchdowns back in mid-August against these Stamps. He's got one here tonight, his 5th.
Well, take a look, and here is Jason Claremont, and right here, that's Brian Clark, and he just does not get on the guy, and by the time he recognizes Claremont just crawling across the middle, it's too late, and it's an easy throw, easy touchdown.
Brian Clark beaten on that play, and a defense, as you mentioned, Chris Walby, that is just getting pulverized.
Yeah, Brian Clark may have been beaten on this play, but I think this whole Stampeder defense is being beaten this game.
Kelly Smith up and walking. Shakes his head as he talks with Henry Burris. After leaving the game with a groin pull, his coach saying it's not good. John Cornish from the 18-yard line. Cornish weaving his way to the 40-yard line at good field position for the Stampeders. A reminder, Hockey Night in Canada radio debuts on Sirius Satellite Radio Monday, and you can listen Monday to Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Sirius Channel 122, hosted by Jeff Merritt. Tempers beginning to flare.
After the returner is brought down, little action over there.
Scott Coe.
Scott Coe getting involved with it, with Tyson Craig, the long snapper.
He's still animated on the Calgary bench, talking to defensive coordinator Denny Crehan. Double tight end formation for Barrett Neely. Here comes the blitz. Neely not sure what he wants to do. Scrambling for his life now, losing yardage and throwing it away, but nearly picked off. Jermaine Copeland, the intended receiver. Marquise Knowlton was right there as the ball wavered.
Well, after about 2 seconds, this play was busted. They're going to go to double tight end. Why? They're going to try and buy Barrett Neely more time so he can look down the field. It busts down. Otis Floyd comes from one side. Ryan Phillips on a blitz from the front side. But Neely again the inexperience of trying to force the situation, gets rid of the football, throws it, trying to hit Copeland, and almost causes the turnover.
There's Knowlton, the dime back in that secondary for BC. Barrett Neely 0 for 4, looking for his first completion. Here comes the blitz. No, they back it off across the middle. Too high for Copeland and incomplete. As Neely got the ball away quickly with Aaron Hunt and Brent Johnson in the vicinity.
Well, the positive on that play, Mark, is that it was to the right receiver. He read the defense correctly. The ball was just a little high. Good protection. They're going to bring Javier Glatt, the middle linebacker, on the blitz. He's got Copeland. He just got to take a little off that ball. Right now, you know, his heartbeat's about 180. Just got to settle down a little bit.
Ian Smart awaiting the punt end over end from Duncan O'Mahony at the 34, surrounded and felled in his tracks by Matt Krudegood, one of the hard-nosed special teamers for the Stamps.
Mic'd Up, brought to you by Rogers, Canada's most reliable wireless network.
Let's go right here. I landed on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
The BC Lions' next home game is on Saturday at Virginia against the Edmonton Eskimos. It's the Subway Solution.
Rob Murphy, the ringleader of that nasty BC offensive line. Wally Buono was saying yesterday he can't have a bad day, because when you go out there and you claim to be the best offensive lineman in the CFL in your rookie year, as you did last year, you better be on your game.
Yeah, he puts the challenge out to each and every player he plays against.
There's big offensive line. Play action. Jarius Jackson rolling, buying time. Now he's going to run. Head down, crashing across the 45. Very close to the first down. Looks like he'll be just shy as Brian Clark makes the tackle, and Paris Jackson gets up with a little bit of pain on his face.
It looks like, and again, watch how they bite. Now there is Patrick, and Patrick just bites on that play action, goes inside, and that allows Jarius to get to the outside. Dwayne Carpenter comes up and forces him back inside, but they're losing contain.
Jarius Jackson still favoring, it looked like his hip as he got up after the tackle by Brian Clark. The big team is in on 2nd and 1. The handoff is to Joe Smith, and look at that as they bulldoze the D-line out of the way, and Joe Smith will run 6 yards up the gut for a first down. He has just run roughshod, Chris Walby, over this Calgary defense.
Well, when you think that his longest run of the year is 38 yards, I mean, he just gets it done. He averages 5.7 yards a carry. He is powerful. He's got great change of direction, and he punishes people when he makes contact. I mean, he is basically one of the reasons that allowed Jarius Jackson to develop is because of the running ability of Joe Smith.
9 carries for Joe Smith, 64 yards tonight. Here's the option. It's the pitch to Ian Smart. Look at the gaping hole as Smart is turned around. A one-arm tackle by Brian Clark turned them around. Otherwise, Ian Smart looked like a dangerous play.
Well, they really are utilizing all the weapons. This is what you want out of your offense. And what I call this is putting your foot on the throat of the defense. Don't start taking it easy. Let's crush the life out of them. That's exactly what they do. They come out with a different play, a different set, causing more confusion, and something, again, that the Stampeder defense cannot stop.
Gain of 14 by Ian Smart. Jarius Jackson in the flats to Paris Jackson, gets a block from Corey Rogers, and then is pushed out of bounds. Grant Clemens and J.R. Ruffin to make the tackle for the Stampeders.
Jarius Jackson is just sitting back there. He's got all kinds of time. This is just like a practice to him. I hate to say that, but it really is like a practice. He's got nobody around him. He's got great sight lines right now to complete the balls. He's going over the middle. He's doing the option. He's throwing a lot of just hitch passes to the outside, and everything is working.
Paris Jackson will come out of the game as Brett Anderson comes in to replace him. Terrific passing numbers for Jarius Jackson. 2nd and 4. On the ground, Joe Smith, with flags down, will crash across the first down marker. But it looks like it's coming back as holding is the indication against BC.
Well, that flag was thrown from behind the offensive line, and Mark, you're right, 100% of the time that's going to go against that offense.
Holding BC, number 54, 10-yard penalty, repeat 2nd down.
Well, newcomer Dean Valley getting that start at that right guard, and there he is right there, and he's just got a clamp on Scott Cole. Kind of looked like that was 64 to me, but we'll give him a break today.
Dean Valley, the 23-year-old out of North Vancouver. Lots of family and friends here tonight for his first start. And this is rookie year. 2nd and 14, a drop ball on the snap. Jarius Jackson in trouble. Drops it again. And the Lions will recover as Dean Valley is way back to get on that football. And that was the first big miscue for this offense.
Well, and it was all brought about by the fact that Jarius Jackson couldn't secure the snap. I mean, other than that, the fact that he drops it, takes his eyes off the ball. Now he gets it back up, but now he has to bounce to the outside. The thing is, your tackles are blocking your ends to the outside. He runs into the pressure, brought down late.
He's not moving the way he did before he took that shot. Jarius Jackson isn't. Banged up on that last series. Paul McCallum with a deep punt. Marcus Howell at the 27. Howell sidestepping the first wave, putting his head down and driving the pile to the 40-yard line. You're watching the CFL on CBC tonight from Vancouver. Paul McCallum was shaken up on that last play, and he gets some attention over at the BC bench. The CFL's leading scorer grimacing.
Well, he goes back, and as he punts that football, he's just going to stand there, walk around. He doesn't want to get even involved in it. But away from the play, he was hit, went down hard, and we'll wonder if he'll punt the next show, and he has to be called on.
Pitch out, Joffrey Reynolds. It's Joffrey Reynolds left, Joffrey Reynolds right. Joffrey Reynolds up the gut for this Calgary offense here tonight after the injury to Achilles Smith and this very green rookie, Barrick Neely, forced into action.
I mean, get in the huddle with these guys, get in quickly, and have your receivers communicate to you what works. We saw the last play of the first half, they went deep, and almost got what I thought would have made a pass interference call on Nick Lewis. Why not try it again?
2nd and 4. Bunch formation to the boundary for Calgary. And that's where they'll run. Joffrey Reynolds cutting the corner, and he'll be close to a first down.
Well, Joffrey Reynolds is basically the total offense for the Stampeder offense. As you take a look, 14 carries, 79 yards, 10 up the middle, and those are hard runs. He's averaging 4.8 yards a carry up the middle. Good success to the left as well. Almost 7 yards a pop to the left.
Approaching his best game of the year against the BC Lions. Last game, 18 carries for 87 yards. And they'll be just shy of the first down.
Well, they're in a situation where they basically have to go for it. You cannot punt. You've got to try and get some kind of momentum, something positive to happen for your offense. A little bit of a quarterback sneak, I would anticipate right now with less than a yard to go.
What a predicament, though, the Stampeder football team finds itself in, losing its top 2 quarterbacks in the space of a week. Third down and about the length of the football. Just shy of the Calgary 50-yard line. Bunch formation to the wide side now. Derek Neely will sneak the football for the first down. Now it looked like the ball may have come out as he hit the pile.
Almost looks like he stumbled trying to get behind the offensive line. Derek Neely, who is 6'4", he's a tall quarterback. With less than a yard to go, you think he just has to basically tuck behind there. He should be able to pick it up. Looks like he kind of just stumbles, and he does. He kind of falls down to his knee. And
he had trouble with the snap. Watch this right there. He didn't have the snap and went down to his knees. Shy of the 50. Got a good spot, though.
Fortunate they needed less than a yard on that play.
So it is a Calgary first down. Neely back to throw, under pressure again, escapes the pocket, has room to run and will. Upfield and stepping out of bounds at the 43-yard line. Down to Karen now for an update on McCallum.
Thanks, Mark. Paul McCallum is riding the bicycle on the BC sidelines right now. He has a pulled left gluteus maximus. Not sure whether he'll be able to get back in the game. Mark?
Yes, very medicinal terms for...
You might as well tell him what it is, Mark. I mean, being an anatomy major.
You go ahead.
That would be the buttocks.
Brett Anderson available to fill in for McCallum. There he is. 1st and 10. Neely rolling. He's got all kinds of time. Can he find a receiver? No, he'll run again. And Markeith Knowlton just punishes the young quarterback at the sideline.
Mark, we talked about the fact that you have to be familiar with your offense. And as an example of not knowing, watch how he faces to the right to do the play action pass, and Joffrey Reynolds goes to the opposite side to the left. It's a no-look play action pass. Well, he's lucky to get away with that one.
Yes, it was the old wrong way. And they're going to measure again. And Neely will be shy by about a yard and a half. 2nd down. Tom Higgins' football team ravaged by injuries at the quarterback position. Henry Burris, who knows when he'll be back. Optimistically, he says it'll be within 3 to 4 weeks, but doctors have said it could be 6 to 8 weeks. And now Achilles Smith with a groin pull.
And Mark, this is the deepest penetration the Stampeder offense has had all ball game.
2nd and 1. 1 and a bit. Eric Neely handing off. Joffrey Reynolds will have the first down for the Stampeders. This telecast is copyrighted by the CFL and licensed exclusively to CBC, and any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game is prohibited. So the Stampeders with a first down at the BC 30. Their best looking drive here. Deepest penetration into BC territory. Neely up behind his center, Rob Lazio. Straight back to pass on play action. He's flushed from the pocket again. Running for the sideline and gets rid of it as Cam Wake bears down from behind. And at this rate, they'll be going out of quarterbacks like they're going out of style.
They'll be pulling people from the stands. But I mean, again, it's a scenario where he is trying to make something happen. It's a little play action. He sits in the pocket, then he gets outside. Markeith Knowlton is coming on the blitz to the outside. He actually runs. He's got the happy feet. You know, he's always moving around, and he gets to the outside. Sometimes you got to trust that pocket, stay in the pocket, and make something happen.
Eric Neely with 5 carries for 39 yards, facing a BC defense that leads the CFL with 40 quarterback sacks, 18 interceptions coming into this game tonight. And as Jarius Jackson said yesterday, boy, I wouldn't want to have my first game against my defense. So it is baptism by fire. The Lions with multiple looks come again with the heat. Neely with the happy feet now throws downfield. Coming back to the ball is Brett Ralph. He loses his helmet on the tackle. James Bethia hitting him from behind. But Ralph will have a first down, and the Stamps are threatening.
And Barrick Neely does a nice job of coming back. He's looking into the middle. He looks to the right, he checks back up, pops up, and then he has confidence to look to the left side, and he throws it low where only Brett Ralph could come back and make that catch. Now, I'm waiting for the official to blow the whistle, especially with the helmet off right there. Make it a quick whistle. Don't let's get another person hurt. You see they're trying to strip the ball from him.
That was the first completion for Barrick Neely. 22 yards to Brett Ralph. And now the whistle has been blown as the Stamps came to the line of scrimmage. They were about to come over the ball before play was whistled in. Now we're underway as Ken Lazarick whistles it in. The last play of the third quarter. Bunch formation to the boundary. Neely backs into the shotgun. Crowd loud. They'll go on the ground, and Joffrey Reynolds will double back. He's surrounded, trying to make something happen, and won't get back to the line of scrimmage. The Lion defense forcing a loss of 4 on the last play of the third quarter.
Well, I'll tell you, they're not even threatening. Guys, I want you to freeze it right here. Take a look. There's not one receiver even trying to release, and as a result, take a look who's coming up to make the play. That's your cornerback, LeVar Glover. There's no threat. Of course your secondary is going to be at the line of scrimmage if you're not releasing a receiver into the end zone.
Loss of 4 on the play. The Stampeders' best chance to score their first touchdown. 2nd and goal from the 12. Barrick Neely under fire. Dropping back to pass. He's got the happy feet again, under pressure, and sacked by Aaron Hunt. The sack leaders in the CFL. Their 41st, Aaron Hunt's 6th.
Well, that's Aaron Hunt's 6th, and he loves to play against the Stampeders because, Mark, of his 6 sacks, 4 are against Calgary. But that was an all-out jailbreak. And as a result, we talked about Barrick Neely maybe having some happy feet, but I don't care how good of a dancer, you're going to have a hard time dancing your way out of that kind of pressure.
Sandro DeAngelis will attempt this field goal from the 35-yard line, second only to McCallum with the best percentage in the CFL, and he splits the uprights. Well, the Stamps have 7 points now and a field goal to show for their best offensive penetration of the game.
Well, it definitely was their best penetration, but I mean, the yards offense, 358 to 184. They're just basically dominating. I mean, the stats don't lie in this case. Sometimes stats are favoring one team and the score doesn't really represent that. This time there's no lying. The BC Lions are dominating.
You know, and Barrick Neely has no idea what's going on out there. I mean, the BC Lion defense now is toying with him. They're showing multiple looks. They're blitzing from the linebacker position, from the defensive halfback position. And now he's, you know, just trying to keep his head above water, getting some advice from George Cortez.
Absolutely. He's talking to offense coordinator George Cortez, but I still think you're there. Send them down on streak patterns. Have everybody just run down the field, throw up a couple balls, try and get some pass interference calls, try and get something positive to happen.
He has a nice arm. Jarius Jackson throwing wide side, intended for Geroy Simon, and it's incomplete. J.R. Ruffin, the halfback in coverage for Calgary.
And Mark, the thing you got to talk about, they had a nice drive there, the Stampeders did. But up until then, it was basically 2 and out. And this Stampeder defense has been on the field all day long.
Yes, it will be a war of attrition for them. No question about that. J.R. Ruffin, his 4th game back after missing the first half of the season with a knee injury. The fastest player on the Calgary roster coming back to form. But they're being worn down here tonight. Stamps showing blitz. They bring it against Jarius Jackson. He will roll out of the pocket. Gargiulo in pursuit. Can't catch the quarterback. Flag is down. Coe hits him and just knocks him 10 yards further down the field. But a flag back at the line of scrimmage.
Mark, it's interesting that with the huge amount of quarterbacks getting hurt, but you see Jarius Jackson taking off on this ball. They're going to call holding. It's going to be all for naught. And that would have been something to have him get injured. But I mean, he just tucks that ball down, gets outside of Gargiulo and takes off. Now he takes a great shot, as you say. Scott Coe's going to come in here and really lay them.
BC,
but it actually pushes them 10 yards forward.
10-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Well, the fans don't like it, but it's coming back on the holding call.
Let's take a look at Rob Murphy having a cigarette out there. Not a whole lot of pressure by him. He can pretty much have a Cuban and just look at the stands.
Second and 20 for the Lions. Jarius Jackson, outlet pass to Joe Smith, cutting upfield to the 30-yard line. And he's tackled on the spot by Shannon James. So it'll be 3rd down, 15 to go, and a punt situation as Brett Anderson will come in now in relief of Paul McCallum, who left with an injury.
And Mark, there's an interesting story that may develop here. With the game so in hand by the BC Lions, would they consider, we know he's healthy now, would they consider putting Buck Pearson just to get him some reps?
We shall see. Not a bad idea. Anderson off the side of his foot and out of bounds in the air. And that will be a penalty as a flag hits the turf. The ball going out between the 20s in the air. Copeland saying take it back. But it's great field position. Why would you? Looked like Benefield. There was a chill in this building yesterday when Tom Higgins learned that Wally Buono held a video session for the media yesterday illustrating that Zeke Moreno's controversial hit on Henry Burris was in fact not late and not unnecessary roughness. It really rankled Tom Higgins, who had already had to deal with the loss of their franchise quarterback, wondering what business it was of Buono to bring that up. Buono trying to illustrate the fact that Moreno tried to avoid contact with Burris. Nevertheless, no call, Burris out, and the Cats beat the Stampeders, but it was not taken well as Brett Anderson retreats inside his end zone to concede a safety. Bobby Singh in the trenches in his former home here tonight and wearing the mic for CBC.
Mic'd Up, brought to you by Rogers, Canada's most reliable wireless network.
Let's score right here. I landed on you.
So Singh still fighting here in the fourth quarter, but Chris Walby, you have to wonder what Wally Buono's approach was yesterday, bringing up the Zeke Moreno hit on Henry Burris, when in fact a week ago his team was embroiled in the biggest controversy with the brawl at Saskatchewan.
Well, I think he was doing a great job of deflecting it away from his players. I mean, he's actually, I think Rob Murphy and those guys are rubbing off on him because he likes that attitude. He's playing a little mind game, getting into the head of head coach Tom Higgins, and I mean, it basically goes against them, and they talk about Henry Burris rather than the Rob Murphy, Sherko Razuli incident.
And Rob Murphy was saying to us that the BC Lions O-line's bad reputation is really undeserved.
If you actually watch the film, we're not doing anything illegal. Yes, we go to the whistle and block to the whistle, but other than that, we don't use any illegal tactics or anything like that. And we're just, I just chalk it up to people just complaining just because we're good.
So there is the face of innocence as John Cornish returns the kick, still on his feet, busted some tackles, and Marquise Knowlton finally gets him down. Well, Rob Murphy said, just take a look at the film. Well, let's roll it, and you can make your own decisions. This was the brawl last week, hit by Kitwana Jones, ball loose, the Riders looking for it, then Sherko Haji-Razuli with a couple of jackhammers, some knees, and then bowling Scott Schultz's helmet down the field. This was an interesting pose. Rob Murphy with a chokehold on John Chick with his arm cocked.
Well, just before that, John Chick had Rob Murphy's helmet, and that came off, and I think that's what Rob Murphy took exception to.
1st and 10 for the Calgary Stampeders. Wounded at quarterback. On the ground, Joffrey Reynolds tracked down by Cam Wake from behind, and a gain of 2 against that BC defense. 18 carries and 83 yards for Joffrey Reynolds so far tonight.
Well, you have got to get some sort of a passing game going, no. If you are just going to live off Joffrey Reynolds, I promise you, your wide receivers are just going to start jogging down the field because they realize they're not even going to be a threat.
2nd and 8. Neely throwing wide side, coming back to the ball is Brett Ralph. And it'll be a 1st down. And the 4th catch of the game for Brett Ralph.
Well, Brett Ralph is being the go-to guy for Barrick Neely. 2nd catch from Neely. BC bringing a blitz. Tad Crawford coming on the safety blitz from the backside. Gets into Barrick Neely.
Well, last week this BC defense held Saskatchewan to just 40 yards rushing on 16 carries. And so that's the kind of tough sledding that Joffrey Reynolds has had on his 18 carries. They faked to him this time. Neely throwing down the sideline for Nick Lewis, coming back to the ball, and he makes the catch. Nick Lewis, the West Division's leading receiver, with his 1st catch of the game against LeVar Glover.
And you have to challenge this defense. You just talked about the fact that it is tough sledding running the ball. Well, if your defense is not respecting your air game, they're all going to be up on the line of scrimmage. But if you challenge them vertically and force them to turn their hips, good things can happen. I like the fact that he lofted the ball up and allowed Nick Lewis to adjust to the ball in flight and come up with a big catch.
Nick Lewis on a pace this year for his 4th consecutive 1,000-yard receiving season. In the red zone, Barrick Neely throwing to the short side to Jermaine Copeland, and Copeland has the catch in front of Glover and is forced out of bounds. A gain of 4 on the play.
Now they're trying to roll Barrick Neely away from the pressure. They roll him to the short side. Now that effectively cuts off half your field, but it shortens his looks. He's only got to look at 2 receivers as opposed to 4 across the field.
Doesn't it look like Barrick Neely is learning the offense? They're adding plays with every series. Now he's beginning to find his way through the air. 2nd and 6 from the 8 of BC. Neely straight back, throwing the deep corner for Copeland. Jump ball and incomplete. There's a flag on the play late by the line of scrimmage.
Oh, it was a late flag too. That ball was well into the end zone when that flag was thrown. Rob Lazio indicating that it's against the BC Lions. We'll see which way that call goes. They're going to call rough play. And I'm going to guess. I'm just going to go on a limb here, Mark, and say that there's some nastiness happening on that line of scrimmage.
No. It'll be an automatic 1st down as they sort it out.
We have 2 dead ball fouls. We have an unnecessary roughness, Calgary number 68. We have unnecessary roughness, BC number 97. Both fouls occurred after the play was dead. They balance off. It'll be 3rd down.
So 2 penalties will cancel each other as the nastiness continues.
Well, that's an interesting matchup in the fact that Brent Johnson is the defensive end and Rob Lazio is the center. So somehow they all got washed into the middle, and that's where the what I believe fisticuffs took place.
3rd down, 6 to go. They'll go for it. Here's a look at that, a punch by Tyrone Williams into the midsection.
Well, they had the wrong number, but you're right. That was a uppercut thrown by Williams, and reciprocating uppercut by Rob Lazio.
Third down gamble. Barrick Neely back to pass. Flat-footed, now he'll run for his life and cut down. Did he get the first down? He had to get to the 2.
Well, I think he did get to the 2. It'll be very interesting where they mark this. The BC Lion defense is running off the field. They think they've stopped him, but I'm not so sure from up here. It'll all come down to the mark, and oh, the Lions might have got a good mark on this play because it looks like it's outside the 2. Looks like it's right between the 2 and the 3 yard line. We'll see if they come. And
yeah, they had to get to the 2 yard line.
I thought he got a little closer, but obviously it's where your knee goes down.
Yeah, they're a full yard short. So the Stampeders will turn it over on downs at the 3 yard line. Oh yeah, he landed on the 4. He got a good spot. He hit on the 4.
No quarterbacks either. We ain't had ours since week 2, baby. We back. We back. They can't stop us, baby. What's up, Reggie? Yeah, we making it happen, dog.
Aaron Hunt in that big defensive line. Tyrone Williams still smoldering after throwing that big uppercut.
Well, as you take a look, and here's Achille. He's got to get down to the 2 yard line, and as he scrambles and pulls it up, the officials were right on because actually when he goes down, the knees go down. It's the 4 yard line. He got a little bit of a gracious spot, but definitely short of the first down.
Barrick Neely trying to use his legs to get to the end zone, just a yard short of the first down. And Joe Smith plunging up the middle in bad field position. A gain of 4 on the play for the CFL's leading rusher.
And this is where the game starts to really be fun for the offensive line, especially when you have the game in the hand as they do. You know you're going to run the football. Every offensive lineman, it doesn't matter what league you play in, loves the fact that you can now come off and play a little smash mouth aggressive football and really set the tone. Kind of settle any payments that have been going on there. We saw earlier Williams and Lazio with the uppercuts to each other.
That's not dirty. Back into the end zone on the drop. Jarius Jackson throwing the seam. And there's a flag. Paris Jackson. And it looked like Brandon Browner maybe tugged on his jersey. There was contact.
Well, it'll be interesting to see this call because Brandon Browner looked like he broke on the ball and had actually a better break on the ball. But I do believe you're right, Mark, that he had a tug on
pass interference.
Back of Jackson's
Calgary,
jersey.
Number 27. Automatic first down.
There's one-on-one coverage right there. Brandon Browner working against Paris Jackson. Takes him to the inside. Oh, yeah, just gets that. It doesn't take much, Mark, as you say. Just a little grab of the jersey, a little swat of the arms, and the flag comes out.
The shutdown corner takes the penalty. And the Lions getting out of tough field position. On the ground, Joe Smith cutting inside. Scott Coe laterally to cut it off for that Stampeder defense. Warrior of the game, we want you to log on during the second half to cbcsports.ca in the second half and vote for the player who you think has showed the heart and determination of a Warrior. Warrior of the game is brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra, professional grade.
there's a lot of candidates today, and obviously Joe Smith. How about Jarius Jackson, the game he's had after that really tough start last week in Saskatchewan?
There's Karan Williams being helped to his feet. Matt Clayton, the trainer, out to help him. He looks all right as he jogs it off. But as you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, the Stampeder defense is just being punished.
Well, they're a very light in the backside. That's the polite way of saying it. They don't have a whole lot of meat on them, and I think they're just getting blown off the ball. And Joe Smith is taking advantage of that.
Anthony Gargiulo in for Karan Williams, the guy that Rob Murphy called a high school player. Here comes the Calgary blitz. Jarius Jackson across the middle, and Jason Claremont reaching, stretching for that first down marker. And let's see where they spot it.
Yeah, nice job. And I mean, Jason Claremont does a nice job finding the middle. Let's take a look at, there he is, Dean Valley working against Gargiulo. Little high there. He's going to get a little correction by the O-line coach. He's got to stay a little lower. And Gargiulo got underneath him, and if you're not underneath the defensive lineman, he's going to bowl you right back.
Claremont's fourth catch of the football game. He has 41 yards receiving tonight and 1 touchdown. 1st and 10. Play action. Nice fake as Jarius Jackson throws to the wide side, and G-Roy Simon has the catch at center field. And another first down, a pickup of 17 yards. After back-to-back games of 151 and 127 yards receiving.
Watch Jason Jimenez do a little roundabout comeback, and as he comes back, watch him as he tries to throw. I mean, he's still trying to go out there chopping guys right now.
G-Roy Simon, his 3rd catch, 57 yards. Paul McCallum is about to be taken away on a golf cart with that buttocks injury. No laugh. Joe Smith breaks a tackle, ran right through Randy Chevrier, and is forced out of bounds after a rumble of 9 yards.
I mean, he is a horse. I mean, there's no other way to put it. He looks as fresh as the first play of the game. That's the interesting thing as well. I mean, he just busted outside. He breaks 1 tackle, runs through the 2nd tackle, bounces, turns around, and just keeps making things happen, and he gets great first down production. And once again, they're in a 2nd and short situation.
Well, the offense giving Dave Ritchie a break, and he has been the mastermind of a very dominant BC defense here tonight. They probably have the best, would you say, the best defense in the CFL right now?
Well, I think they're very tough. I'm still a big fan of what they got over there in Ryderville. I think Winnipeg still got some great players over there. You know, this is the best time, Mark. I don't think you label anybody the best. I think this is the best time of year to be playing, though, because this is where they say defense win you championships, so we'll see what happens.
It's a hungry team that, as I mentioned earlier, leads the CFL in that giveaway takeaway category.
And how did you overlook your Toronto Argonauts? Come on.
They have a good, my Argonauts. What are you talking about? Well, I mean, I know you're a blue-collar Blue Bomber. But please, objectivity reigns in the booth. 1st and 10. Jarius Jackson, a little hook route to Jason Claremont. He makes the catch. Anthony in on the tackle. Gain of 7.
And that play is there all day. The Calgary Stampeder defense just goes back and sits in that zone coverage. We take a look at Achilles Smith, just wondering what would have happened or might have been had he been in the game.
What a picture of dejection for this football club. I mean, a week ago, they're on the rampage.
Well, and it just shows you how important that main guy is. It not only lifts your defense, it lifts your offense. And Henry Burris, you could tell the effect it has. The loss of their leader has sunk everything in that Stampeder locker room.
2nd and 3, double tight end formation. Boenge in to block. He leads the way for Joe Smith. And another first down.
Well, they've got some big backs out here in BC. Joe Smith, who's 6'2", 225. Alexis Boenge, who's 2nd-year guy out of Kentucky. He's another 225-pounder. Lyle Green's 225-pounder. The only guy they got that's relatively small is Ian Smart. who's about 5'8", and he's still about 200 pounds.
Joe Smith now, Chris, his 14th carry for 91 yards. He is on a pace, a wrecking crew pace, to break the BC single-season rushing record held by Corey Philpott. He needs to average just 61 yards a game over the final 6 games. Here he is at 91. And Joe Smith adds to that as he crashes over the 100-yard plateau here tonight.
Well, I just saw the look of dejection. At the end of that play, Terrence Patrick got up and just basically went, what are we doing? It was a sign of desperation, a sign when they're looking at the clock going, it can't go fast enough. Watch at the end of this and see if we can get that. 93 is going to be in there. He's going to make the play. He's going to get back up. He's just going to have his hands at his side. He cannot believe that they're allowing, that they're falling apart this bad.
I saw Tate George going backwards, falling on his back after being blocked. This defensive line is just being shoved around by this nasty offensive line in BC.
Well, they've been on the field way too long, and that's what happens when you have inconsistent offense.
A gain of 15. Now another handoff to Joe Smith. This time Tate George sticks his nose into the fray on a short gain. 3-minute warning has been given to the benches, mercifully, here in BC.
See ya. Hey, thanks for coming, man. I must say, you look good, though, dog. It's a nice suit. I didn't call McKilly, did I?
Yeah, you have been.
Oh, I haven't. He's full of crap. You're such a dickhead. Get out of here, man.
Look at this. This is a great shot.
Wow.
Look at it.
Show me the two sides. BC standing.
Stamps are down, yeah.
Picture tells it all, guys. The other look is so. That's a great shot, Ronnie. It's going to win you and Mark be the Gemini. Promise
What? Well, you were coming back going, no, you don't do this. Okay, fair.
It's over. We're not roommates anymore. Yeah. You know what?
The Calgary defense physically beaten on this night by this marauding BC offense.
Well, it's interesting to see all of them, and then take a look at this group. Everybody's standing around, passing the water bottle around, and yet on the Stampeders side of it, they're all on one knee saying, boy, it can't go quick enough.
And hungry for more as the Lions come to the line of scrimmage. 2nd and 6 from the 9-yard line of Calgary. Jarius Jackson to throw to the end zone. Touchdown, Paris Jackson. Paris Jackson's 3rd touchdown. A 107-yard BC scoring drive that started on their own 3-yard line.
Well, Jarius Jackson, he just sits back there and puts us on a rope. And I mean, we talked about how tired the Stampeder defense is. And I mean, this play, Jarius Jackson sits there and his counterpart, Paris Jackson, just runs away from the coverage, cuts it in the middle of the field, the ball's there, and it's an easy touchdown. And with the extra point, it'll be a 35-9 game.
Painful for Bobby Singh to watch his old mates. Running roughshod over the Stampeders on a discouraging night for them. It's 35-9.
go, baby. We starting to play our game. J-Jack. I told you.
G-Right. G-Right.
He's way outside.
Paris Jackson has thrown 11 touchdowns. This is his third tonight, right?
Yep.
I ain't coming to see you in the end zone.
Right, we back on the roll. Don't be sleeping on 19.
Paris Jackson, the North Van native, with a big touchdown, his third in front of the home crowd.
Well, I mean, watch Joe Smith, guys. Watch this block right here as he picks up the blitz. You got to do it all. And as a result, Jarius Jackson's got all the time in the world to wait for his teammate, Paris Jackson. Watch 1-on-1. And you can see that Brandon Browner is not recovered from an ankle injury.
Yeah, you can
He's
see that.
stumbling back there, and as soon as Paris broke it in the middle, it was all over.
That has been a matchup that Paris Jackson has owned tonight, taking advantage of the bad ankle on the normally swift-footed Browner. The return for the Stampeders is stopped in the tracks to John Cormish as we check your game notes, Chris Baldy.
Well, the first one was Achilles heel. We wondered if Achilles Smith would be the strength or the weakness. He only had 6 completions, injured in the second quarter, so really not a factor in today's ball game. On defense, KO Joe. It's talked about he got to stop Joe Smith. Hey, wow, another great game for the back. 137 yards offense and a touchdown. Let's take a look at the BC game notes. Simon says it's about time. 2 big games back-to-back over 100 yards. 3 catches early in the game, 57 yards. Being quiet second half, and Richie's riches. Talked about that defense. Quarterback sacks, interception, fumble recovery, doing it all.
Joffrey Reynolds with the carry. Gain of 2 on the play. The Achilles heel turned out to be a groin.
Very good.
Tonight.
We've had a groin, we've had a buttock. You're learning a lot today, Mark Lee, I must say. Carlton has been very, very good to you.
Jeez, stop it.
Well, Joffrey Reynolds, you see, there's a guy that's still working. I mean, there's a lot of pride in that Stampeder offense. They're trying to get things done and trying to work the horse.
Neely with a deep drop, looking wide side, throwing inside. Brett Ralph incomplete as it bounced off his chest. Jarius Jackson having a tremendous night in his 6th start. He'll go to 4-2, and on the sidelines, Dave Dickinson, who this week practiced for the first time in full equipment and came away saying, I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, I'm still a few weeks away, he said, but you know, the post-concussion issue is beginning to lift, but you have to wonder whether he'll ever be back in the game.
I think you're 100% right, Mark, because he said, I am concerned because the next one I may not come back 100% from. So there is that doubt, and I think that, you know what, maybe it's time.
Block punt. And in it goes to the end zone. Jerome Dennis, the rookie out of Utah State, does it all. Blocks it, recovers it, and returns it for a touchdown.
Well, Mark, we saw special teams last week against Saskatchewan when Baron Miles had the punt block and Ian Smart had that 88-yard kickoff return. 2 big plays that led to 14 points. Here we go again. Special teams still at this. And I love the fact that BC is still staying aggressive. They've done everything on offense and defense. Well, here's a little kick of the cat with special teams.
The 3rd block punt of the season for the Lions special teams. And Jerome Dennis returning it 20 yards for the touchdown. The 2nd block punt for a touchdown this year for the BC special teams unit. And Dave Ritchie into the celebration. And it's just insult added to injury for this Calgary Football Club. Jarius Jackson the hold for Brett Anderson, and he splits the uprights. Duncan O'Mahony on a late exchange gets it blocked. Well, we have a moment, a reminder. Thursday night is hockey night in Canada, beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time. The Leafs at the Ottawa Senators in Game 2. Flyers and Flames. Hockey night in Canada this Thursday on CBC television.
Well, the BC Lions will quite comfortably go to 9-3-1. stay top.
They'll move 3 points back in front of Saskatchewan. They will be 6 points clear of Calgary. But how about this? A week ago, the Stampeders looked like they're on the rampage to threaten for first place, with Henry Burris passing for 300 yards in 8 of his last 9 games. Then he dislocates his shoulder. And here you have Calgary just 2 points ahead of Edmonton, who lost Ricky Ray. So Burris is out, Ricky Ray is out. The 2 Alberta teams lose their starting quarterbacks. And now suddenly Calgary finds itself in a situation trying to stay out of last place.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Stephen Lafleur will be the go-to guy for the Eskimos now in place of Ricky Ray, and obviously Barrick Neely or Ben Sankey.
Yes, Ben
will
Sankey
be getting all the reps at practice this week for the Stampeder offense.
Sankey, a former Stampeder who left 4 years ago for the National Football League. And he'll get a week of practice. He came this week after being plucked from the BC practice roster, but Tom Higgins told us all he knows is the snap count. He doesn't even know the plays yet. So Sankey will certainly get a chance. And I would think, Chris, you're probably right that we might see him starting next week.
Well, he's got the relationship. He has played with George Cortez before, so he understands the offense. So I think it's just a matter of getting reacquainted with it. And I think you'll probably see Ben Sankey under the center next week.
And that's the dire circumstances for this Stampeder football team. Handoff, off tackle left, and Joffrey Reynolds is stood up and forced back. Gain of 4, where they mark his forward progress. George Cortez has been a busy man the last 7 days, getting Achilles Smith up to speed, and then all of a sudden he's out with a groin in the first half. And he's got Barrick Neely, a ranked rookie. And now Ben Sankey holding the clipboard.
Well, this is where you test your mettle as an offensive coordinator, and the fact that you have to develop these quarterbacks quickly now.
Well, if anybody can do it, George Cortez can. Neely throwing across the midfield. And it's complete. No. Yes, they're going to mark it as Kenyon Rambo makes the catch in traffic. Rambo, who has been red hot with 6 touchdown catches in the past 4 games. But without Henry Burris pulling the trigger, this Stampeder vaunted passing offense has been cool here tonight. Final minute of play. Barrick Neely throwing deep down the sideline to Ryan Thelwell, the former Lion, jumping for it, and it's incomplete. Corey Banks breaking it up. Thelwell, a former Lion who was not re-signed in the offseason and joined Calgary as a free agent. His first return here to BC Place.
And they've just lost Jeff Pilon, the starting right tackle, who just went down. I saw the play before. He was having his hands full with Cameron Wake. Thought he might have got away with a little bit of a tug on the jersey, but this time the big man from Syracuse. Let's take a look at. He's right over there. Let's just take a look what happens here. He just kind of pops back, little hop step. Oh, and the knee just buckles. As he tries to push back in, that left knee does not slide over. I've seen that all too often. And we hope it's just the ankle, because a lot of the times when that happens, and watch as he kicks back in. It's a kick start, and as he tries to go back in, the whole left side just goes down. He grabs the ankle. Yeah, that's actually a good sign, Mark, because the worst part of that injury can be the knee, and if it's a knee, it's a lot longer.
Well, Tom Higgins was preaching a positive attitude this week with the loss of Henry Burris, and they're going to need a lot of good vibrations as they go back and try to regroup in Calgary. They've got Saskatchewan next week.
Oof, and they look pretty good today against Montreal.
In comes Derek Armstrong. On that O-line, pressure. Neely escaping now, diving upfield. And Tim Goodwell, the rookie linebacker, makes the tackle for BC.
Watch Cameron Wake again. He's got 11 sacks, but he gets held again. You got to show this.
Gain of 6, 3rd and 4. As Neely learns under fire here tonight.
Mark, take a look at Cameron Wake. I mean, he's got 11 sacks coming in here. Now watch what happens. He actually beats, comes back in, and he gets held. And that's about the second time I've seen a situation where A guy that comes in leading with 11 sacks, he just can't get a break.
Healy back to pass, throwing quickly. It's complete, and then Copeland lost the football. Now it's being ruled incomplete as he hits the turf. Again, it's Goodwell, the rookie out of Memphis, with the tackle.
Yeah, Mark, it's interesting when you go and look at this game film, you wonder almost, I've been in scenarios where you get beat so bad and the coach decides, we don't want to even look at this film. We just burn the film, we start new, we start fresh, and we got a new quarterback now, and we just kind of build from there. And I wonder if they'll even look at this game film.
Well, there still is one more game for Denny Crehan and the Stampeders to play against BC. That'll be the first week of November. But right now, they've got to get their offense up to speed. The defense pummeled tonight. On the field far too long. .27 seconds to go in regulation time. And the number 3 quarterback, Gino Guidugli, taking time off the clock, the youngster out of Cincinnati. Buck Pierce not seeing the field. You thought he might in the fourth quarter get a few reps. He has been given the green light by the BC doctors to play again after separating his throwing shoulder in that August 17th game against Calgary.
Well, you know as well as I do that he has, when Dave Dickinson got hurt and Casey Printers played, and then he pulled Casey Printers because he said you can't lose your spot to an injury, right? And then he put Dave Dickinson back in the cup, and there was a lot of flack about why didn't Casey Printers play, and you're wondering now with the injury to Buck Pierce, would he not at least let him play when the game's out of hand?
Well, maybe Wally Buono learned something from that experience in 2004. There's Buck Pierce on the sidelines. It was Dave Dickinson who said last week that he doesn't think that old adage will hold true here in BC, that a veteran will regain his job after coming back from injury, as Jarius Jackson leads Wally Buono's football team to victory, and they will win the season series against the Calgary Stampeders. 2 wins and a tie in 3 games so far, with 1 to come in November. And Wally Buono will add his 57th victory as head coach of the BC Lions, 2 past the former leader in that category, Don Matthews. Final score is 42-9 BC. And here's Karen.
Thank you, Mark. Jarius, just looking at your numbers here, 23 for 28, 307 yards, 3 touchdown passes. Boy, you couldn't have asked for a better game here at home.
Well, I mean, this is definitely the game we needed. You know, we've come out the last couple of weeks and either start fast and slow or vice versa. So we definitely wanted to come out tonight and get in the rhythm early and jump on them quick.
Buck Pierce is getting close. Dave Dickinson practiced in pads for the first time this week. What is your understanding about what happens when those guys get healthy?
Well, you know, Buck is pretty healthy right now. You know, from my understanding right now, I'm just going to keep going until, you know, something else transpires. But, you know, in the meantime, you know, I'm still egging those guys on. They're still doing and getting better in practice. So, you know, Buck is back to getting reps. So, I mean, we're still the 3 quarterbacks for this team.
You did pick up where you left off last week in Saskatchewan. This must be a big boost to your confidence.
Definitely. You know, I made a promise to myself that I was going to get in the groove early, come out, just, you know, go through my reads and let the ball go. Don't hesitate at all. And, you know, lo and behold, you know, God willing, I was able to do that tonight.
Congratulations on a big win, Jared.
Thank you.
Mark?
Thanks, Karen. The caretaker quarterback has become the leading man in BC, flanked by big running back Joe Smith, over 100 yards here tonight in a lopsided BC victory at home.
So if they might say their piece and then you can say whatever you want after. I want to talk about what does Calgary do at quarterback next week. And maybe if we have time, we'll talk about BC Winnipeg because that's a huge game next week. Or is there anything you guys really want to talk about?
Other than the fact that I think by this time, I really believe they ought to move to a 40 defense because they're too light. They're getting pushed around left, right, and center, and it's making it really difficult for their backers.
I'll give you time for that. Sean, anything in particular?
Barrick Neely. Well, I think it's good mentioning what he did today.
Yep. Rob?
I just think Jarius is a story today, the way he came out, composure, right from the onset.
Yep. You know, looking back at the half, when Tom Higgins did his interview with Karen, all the panelists said he knows he's lost. The game was over, and some of the pictures in that second half really told the story of how badly the Stampeders knew they were beaten here in Vancouver tonight. Warrior of the game, you just heard from him, and he's so deserving. Jarius Jackson, as Rob Crefo was just talking off air, the absolute story tonight, 23 of 28, 307 yards, 3 touchdowns. He ran for 35 more. Jackson is now 4-1 as the starter since Buck Pierce went down. They don't have to rush Dickinson back.
Warrior of the game, brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra. Professional grade.
Couple of things, maybe a suspension here for Ken Lazaruk. Watch that. He almost knocks out the second Calgary quarterback of the evening. That hurt Barrett Neely. And how about this, the postgame? We talked earlier about how Tom Higgins was upset about Wally Buono showing the play, the Zeke Moreno play, and backing the referees on it. And I wonder if that's one of the reasons that handshake was so brief. But guys, Sean and David, Rob, you are up in the booth. But Sean, Achilles Smith, what were you noticing?
I got to question Achilles' toughness. I mean, I noticed him when he comes running back onto the field from halftime. He manages to jog onto the field.
Here's the injury, by the way.
Yeah, he says he's got a slight groin pull, I guess, whatever that's supposed to mean. And I'm watching him on the sideline. He's bouncing around. He's walking around. As a quarterback, it's not like he has to run full sprints. He can take his drop, look around, and I think he could have given the Calgary Stampeders a little bit more than what Barrick Neely gave them. I think he shut it down today.
Without a doubt, I have to agree with you because at a time like this, at this juncture in your season, you have got to be the guy. You've got to stand in there and take one for the team.
Rob, your feeling on that?
You know what? It's all about adversity. And right now, Calgary's having a rough time with their quarterback situation. And to a man, they have to step up. And that is one example that he has to do as well.
You know, it's amazing. I'd be curious to hear what Achilles Smith's going to have to say about that because it's not always fun to hear yourself called out. And it's tough sometimes to decide watching if a guy is hurt or not. But I defer to the player's knowledge. We'll be back to wrap after this. Brian, can I get the things, please? Yep. What's the marathon? Okay, hold on. I'm looking for it. The marathon. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah. Got the marathon. How's this guy, Mike Van Tighem? Does anyone know how to pronounce his name? Oh, the analyst. Forget it. I won't mention it. So which hockey promos? Oh, on Thursday, right? Okay. So that's it? And now which still stores? Are we doing TSN or are we doing us? Yep. Okay, there's TSN. Okay. Yeah, ready. I'm ready when you are. Yep. Yep. Okay. It's always easier to hug a guy when he's not on the field, tearing you apart with 300 yards plus passing. Henry Burris not available tonight, and Calgary suffered as a result. Here's what's looking ahead. Tomorrow morning, wall-to-wall CBC Sports, the FIFA Women's World Cup, 4:45 to 10:30. Then also, the Scotiabank Toronto Waterfront Marathon will be on other platforms, including streaming. Thursday, we open up Hockey Night in Canada, the doubleheader. First game from Ottawa, the Senators and the Maple Leafs. Game 2, revamped Philadelphia is in Calgary. The team Iron Mike Keenan now coaches. TSN Friday Night Football should be a good one. BC, Winnipeg, and then we're back on Monday with the annual Thanksgiving doubleheader. Hamilton 2-11 on a roll, according to Sean Millington in Montreal. Then Saskatchewan at Calgary. And one of the things we're going to debate online next is who the Stampeders should start at quarterback. Mark and Chris suggested Ben Sankey. I don't know. I'd go back with Barrick Neely. Let's see what the panel has to say. Hope you had a great night, everybody. Hope you enjoyed our triple header of football. We'll see you again on Thanksgiving.
CBC Sports, Canada's Olympic Network, home of the champions.